Yo, what's going on, guys? What is going on out there? How's everybody doing? All right, so guys, I'm a little bit early today because Jesse's going to be on. He's be joining us in about a half hour. So I got some things I wanted to cover ahead of time, though. So we're going to get into some of that stuff before Jesse gets here. So let's real quick. We'll go into the chat. Actually, just hang on one sec. I just got to send Jesse. His invite. Just bear with me for a minute, and we'll get rolling here, man. We'll get rolling, and Jesse will pop in as soon as he's at his computer. All right, there we go. So what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? How's it going? Good afternoon. Guys, there was no morning stream this morning because, believe it or not, my freaking power went out on me this morning. I swear to God. Go figure, eh? Right around noon, power went out. So didn't get to do a morning stream today. But that's okay. We're here now. So just as a precursor, guys, in case my power goes out again, I apologize. Okay, it probably shouldn't, but just in case. Boomer, what's up, broski? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Shane, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man. Kevin's in the house. What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Light, what's going on? What's going on? All the usual suspects are here. Nikik, what's up? Hello. What time is it in America? It's 2:33 p.m. where I am. WM Champ, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome in. Bruno's in the house. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Nicholas, what's up, big dog? What's going on? Brian, what's up, Rob Father? What's going on, bro? What's going on? Good to see you. Everybody's here. Let's make sure we're live over on X. Yep, we are live on X. Absolutely love to see that, guys. All right. So we got some stuff to cover before Jesse gets here. So if you have any JASMY questions for Jesse, save those for when he gets here, because he will be here shortly. So yeah. All right, what do we got? Brian, I'm ready to buy some more. Yeah, exactly. 100%. It's a good day for it. Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's going good, ET. It's going good, man. Good to see you. Are we blaming Warren or Trudeau? Let's blame them both, man. Let's blame them both. Warren's going to end up losing this election, man. It's going to be great. Deaton's going to put her out of her misery here. No more Elizabeth Warren. That will be a welcome sight. And I was listening to some interesting stuff coming out of Washington there this morning. They were talking about how, guys, the Biden administration may very well listen. There is a very hard conversation that's going to be coming that Gensler's going to have to be a part of, and that is that at some point, Biden's administration is going to sit down with Gensler because they're starting to realize there's a lot of what do you call them, surveys or whatever you want to call them going out right now based on the election where it stands right now, and Trump is pulling ahead in the young Democrat voter section because of his anti-crypto, because Biden's anti-crypto policy. A lot of young Democrat voters are starting to say they're going to cast their vote for Trump because crypto is their number one topic. So at some point, guys, at some point, they're starting to realize this now in the Biden's administration. At some point, they're going to have to sit down with Gensler and say, dude, you need to stop because you're costing us the election at this point, right? That hard conversation's coming, guys. Make no mistake about it. And Gensler's not going to like it. So he's going to have to start to stop on his own. Whispers are that they're already starting to kind of nudge him and hint like, dude, chill, right? So the hard conversation for Gary is going to be coming very, very soon, in my opinion. Cool. Jesse's going to be on today. Yep. Jesse will be here in about 25 minutes, something like that. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. All right. So what do we got across the market, guys? JASMY, what do we got? 1 cent 79, eh? Not too bad. Not too bad, guys. Look at Farm, $65, man. Come on, baby. XCN down to 1 cent 94. Oof. I got to do some DCAing, baby. Beebs in the house. Good afternoon, future crypto millionaires. Good afternoon, Beebs. What's going on, broski? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. All right, so let's get into some of the stuff I wanted to talk about here before Jesse gets here. Right, what do we got? So we got a couple of new listings for KASPA today, guys. Stealth EX is one, and the other one will pop up shortly. But a couple new listings for KASPA. You love to see it. Centralized exchanges picking up KASPA. Is this a prelude, guys? Is it a prelude? We'll have to stay on top of it and find out, right? But exciting nonetheless for KASPA. More liquidity pouring into the project. What do we got? The State of Wisconsin Investment Board has revealed it holds almost 100 million of BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETFs. Giga bullish. Guys, it just keeps pouring in. These big institutions, even state governments and stuff like that, banks are all holding spot Bitcoin ETFs. What does that tell you? Should you be buying? I don't know, guys. I don't know. You tell me, right? Of course, we've got the GameStop drama starting to pick up steam, guys. GME and AMC Entertainment. Short sellers have now lost $5 billion in the last 2 days. The big money is losing money again, guys. So the question is this going to start to kickstart and supercharge the altcoin season with a lot of that capital that these people are making on GameStop? Are they going to start? Because listen, in 2021, that's exactly what happened. All of the profits that people were making from the GameStop investment, once they put a stop to it, they started pouring that capital over into, because just like clockwork, altcoin season started to kick off at the same right as soon as they put a stop to the GameStop thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of happens here. Is this going to kick off altcoin season, man? Very, very exciting. Tell us when retail pours in. We're going to be rich. This bull run is going to be massive. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think we're just starting to see the first hints of retail and the degens starting to wake up and starting to, get on board. Andrew Tate said yesterday that he needs that everyone needs to be buying GameStop, etc., because we need these big players out some way. I agree. Yeah, he took like $500,000 out of Bitcoin and put it into GameStop, right? The problem is, from what I read today, apparently they nipped it in the butt and they stopped people from being able to buy GameStop already. They stopped it. They did it again, guys. They did it again, and we keep letting them get away with it, right? That is market manipulation. If you did that, if you manipulated the market in that way, you would go to prison for 25 years to life, right? But they're doing it because the big money was losing money, so they put a stop to it. So now they put a stop on buying GameStop stock again, right? Just it's horse crap, man. It's horse crap. That's why we need things decentralized. Exactly. They sit there on their high horses, these Democrats, and they say, well, we have to be in control because we have to protect the retail investors. And this is what they do with their control. This is what they do. They stop so that the big money doesn't lose money, and they stop the little man from making money. That's the protection that they show us through their actions, that we can't trust them, right? We cannot hand control of the digital asset space over to them because they're irresponsible, right? They only care about their money and their incumbents' money. All these big money people, like, look, $5 billion was in short sellers was lost in 2 days. And they're like, oh, we have to put a stop to it. Why? Why you got to put a stop to it? They were stupid enough to short sell a stock. If you're stupid enough to do something like that, you deserve to get wrecked. Do they put a stop and protect you when you get liquidated? Do they protect you? No. It's ridiculous, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? Isn't the SEC's place to step in and protect the investors? Yes, 100%. What's up, man? I think Adam Aaron also said as things were going up for AMC. Yes, exactly. They are. They absolutely are. Time is money. Absolutely, David. Absolutely, brother. So yeah, it's aggravating that they do this, guys. It really is frustrating, right? Because it makes their intentions clear, that they're actually not protecting retail investors, that they're actually protecting the incumbents, the people who are already rich. They're protecting them, right? If they're losing billions of dollars because they're stupid enough to short GameStop stock, they don't deserve to be, there's no safety net. What the hell are you doing? They're losing money. That's their problem, right? They halted AMC trading back to back because it was running up like crazy. Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't do that. That's market manipulation. But the Mullen Automotive, we got wrecked by shorts, and they never halted for shorting. Yeah, exactly. They don't stop it when we're getting wrecked. The retail investors, they don't put a stop to it, right? But when the big money's getting wrecked, oh, we got to stop this. We got to stop this right now, right? The stock market is absolutely dog water. Absolutely, man. Absolutely agree. It's all just a big game that's rigged against us, guys. And then, the same people that you talk to in your everyday life, they say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. How is this a conspiracy theory? Literally open your eyes and look, right? When we were getting wrecked on what'd you say it was? When we were getting wrecked on the Mullen Automotive, they didn't do anything. They didn't stop the shorts and stuff like that. They didn't protect us from getting wrecked. Why are they doing it for the incumbents there when they're getting wrecked? They're losing $5 billion in 2 days. That's their problem. Why do they need to be protected from that? They're supposed to be sophisticated investors, right? Accredited investors. They're supposed to be smart enough to handle themselves, right? So why do we need to do this? Because it's not about actually protecting people, right? It's about protecting the rich. That's what it's about. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. As soon as we start to get ahead, they try to put a stop to it, guys, right? Same thing with crypto. That's why they're trying to stop crypto, right? Because we got in before them. Now they're like, no, screw that. We want to make the money, not the retail, right? Screw that noise, man. Screw that. We cannot hand over control of crypto to them. They are irresponsible and they cannot be trusted. I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing what Veracity get up to at a conference in Dortmund over the next couple of days. So there is a conference happening, guys. Block Chance conference happening over the next couple of days. Veracity is going to be there, likely unveiling some more big news for Veracity. So stay tuned for potentially some big announcements coming out for VRA, guys. Absolutely bullish on that. What else do we got? Yeah, see, here we go. Check this out. Just like I was just saying. See? Just in, GameStop and AMC stock trading halted to save Wall Street again. Bitcoin never halts trading. Exactly. So we beat them at their own game and they don't like it, so they cheat. So now we're just going to use crypto. Screw them, right? They can have their stocks. They can have their 1% a year and stuff like that. We'll stick to crypto. Thanks, bro. Right? We're good. We beat you at your own game. You didn't like it, so you cheated. So now we're going to go over to crypto and you come and play our game. How about that? You come play our game now, right? What do we got here? Nope. So we got Junction JP says, DPIN, what is it? A project that uses blockchain to improve real infrastructure. Junction DPIN envisions a future in which idle GPUs are aggregated to provide to PCs that are not in use. If you didn't know what DPIN was. Waiting for Swift to start pumping out news, waiting for it to fly 100%. I got another Swift video coming out today or tomorrow, actually, I think. So stay tuned for that as well. What do we got? Michael Vandepop. Good old Michael Vandepop. The first pension fund has bought an allocation into Bitcoin. It's a big new accomplishment for the space, and it frames that we're still early, accumulating during this dip. Guys, do you have any idea how big it is that pension funds are now starting to accumulate Bitcoin ETFs? These are long-term holders, guys, long-term holders, right? And if you have a look at how much money is in U.S. pension funds, let me actually see if I can come up with a number here. Check this out, guys. Look at this. So just so you're aware, okay, pension funds are now officially jumping into spot Bitcoin ETFs. Have a look at this. How much money is in the U.S. Pension funds? Around $40 trillion, guys, in U.S. pension funds. 40 trillion. And you don't need all of that, obviously, to be in Bitcoin. Even a fraction of that is going to make the price go absolutely berserk. And that's why I was telling you guys before, Bitcoin, in my opinion, is going to be $1 million a coin at some point. I'm telling you right now, look at this. What is, like, I don't even know. What is freaking, 5%, 3% of $40 trillion? You know what I'm saying? Like, even if only that much goes into these spot Bitcoin ETFs, guys, it's going to drive the price up like crazy. What are your thoughts on BSV compared to BTC? Honestly, I like BSV, but I think it's going to do fantastic. But I am a BTC guy, though. I don't hold any BSV. I know Max likes BSV very much, and I like it. I just don't hold any right now. I am more of like I said, more of a BTC guy. I hold quite a bit of BTC, and I will continue to accumulate. But BSV will do good. GSD, what's up, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, what else do we got, guys? If you're new to the channel, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. We've got to keep the channel growing, You know what I'm saying? So yeah, guys, that's crazy. That's a crazy amount of money. Jesse and I'm going to bring that up with Jesse. We're going to talk about that because that is massive. All right, check this out too. Little bit, we got to support John Deaton, guys, right? We have to. So Listen up to this real quick. It's only a minute long. Let me turn my speaker on. So listen up. About can John beat Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah. And here's the thing. One thing the Second Circuit has been really, really, really clear about, and the U.S. Supreme Court has been really clear about, is disgorgement is supposed to go to the victims. Okay, so think about that for a moment. The disgorgement, let's say it's 900 million plus interest, doesn't go to the Treasury of the United States. It doesn't go to the SEC. It goes to victims. Okay, now think about this for a minute. The SEC wins and gets disgorgement, they're going to have to pile on more money to institutional investors who already made a profit from their interaction with Ripple and buying XRP. I get a little worked up. This is so crazy. You know?
Can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, that is insane. They're going to make them richer. And
can you imagine wiring tens of millions of dollars to big institutions that already made a profit from their interaction with Ripple? That has to happen. That's the clearest part of this whole picture, is the money has to go to these quote unquote victims.
Is that not unbelievable, guys? Like, you see how the system, like, do you think that's an accident or a coincidence? Come on. Hey, Rob, any news on Jasmy's PDL actually starting to lock up tokens from users, etc.? Not seeing anything from the team on that front. Nothing yet, brother, but we are on top of it, like I said. And the thing you have to remember about Jasmy is that they go from being like, super, super quiet radio silence to all of a sudden, like, bam, 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 like 4 massive announcements all at once, right? So, and there's like no warning. They just do it. They just, plop it out on the desk and say, here it is, right? Jasmy at 50 cents would be a best Christmas gift this year. Absolutely, Sean. Absolutely, brother. Sam, I can't decide if I want to hold my Jasmy bag for the next bull run or sell some this one. I'm more torn because I think I'm about to the joy goals. Honestly, man, I'm only selling 50% of my bag. So I'm going to keep 50% and then probably accumulate more in the bottom of the next bear market, right? That's my goal. That way my cost average stays really, really low as well. So that's likely where I'm at with it. Right. So here we go, guys. The US dollar, the Dixie. As you guys know, we check in on the Dixie on a daily basis, twice a day, every live stream we do, right? So here we have the DXY is breaking down from the on the 4-hour bearish rising wedge. If we see this thing nuke to the green line, expect probably meant fireworks in risk on assets, which is Bitcoin and altcoins, right? So we need the US dollar. It's breaking down right now, which is fantastic. We need to see it break all the way down here, guys, to 99 cents. And we will see absolute hysteria in the crypto market. So that's what we're waiting for here, guys. We're waiting for the Dixie to completely collapse, which is only a matter of time. And the more it does break down, the higher risk on assets are going to go too, right? So the higher Bitcoin and alts are going to start to climb on top of that. So just keep that in mind as well. We got another video here for you guys. Check this out. All right. Why is she popping up here? There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's about we're talking back about GameStop again. Listen up.
GameStop shares are soaring once again this morning, adding more than 170% just since yesterday morning. Another meme stock soaring along with GameStop is AMC. AMC is up 187% for the week to date, and of course, it's only Tuesday. Joining us right now with more on this is Jay Clayton. He is former SEC chair and a CNBC contributor. And Jay, we've been kicking this around this morning. I got a whole lot of different takes on this. First of all, the short sellers didn't learn their lesson last time around. Second of all, retail investors are back with a vengeance, but you can't really call this investing either. These are massive swings. As a former SEC chair, what do you think when you look at all of this?
Well, it bothers me. It bothers me on many levels. I think your last guest
got it right. It's a lot closer to gambling than it is to trading, and it's certainly not investing.
Top shares are.
It's gambling because the short sellers are losing, so it's gambling, right? No, it's stocks. It's just stocks going in the direction that you didn't think they would go because retail got together and banded against you. It's gambling. It's absolutely absurd, right? But she says it perfectly. She says the short sellers didn't learn their lesson in 2021, right? They didn't learn their lesson. And I love the second part of what she said. Retail investors are back with a vengeance. And how long before those retail investors start pouring back into crypto? Only a matter of time, guys. Are you freaking ready to go, baby? The U.S. Treasury will start to buy back bonds in August, with the Fed planning on lowering the interest rates till later in the year. This stagnant price action is likely to stay until late July. I agree. That's why I labeled it the summer of sideways, right? Price prediction for VLO by the end of the year. Honestly, man, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I don't have one at this time. I'd have to do a deeper look into it, brother. Just saw this. It's BS. Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. To be honest, just freaking hodl. Yes, exactly. We ready ASF. Exactly, Sam. It's only a problem when other people make money. Exactly. Oh, it's a problem. It's a problem. Oh, but if the stock was crashing and the short sellers were making a fortune, or if the shorters were making a fortune right now, wouldn't be a problem at all. They would be celebrating it all over TV, right? Clay would be like, yep, this is how the stocks work. We make the money, right? Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious, guys. It looks good. They got pie all over their faces, right? It's hilarious. What do we got? Guys, like I said, if you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Keep the channel growing here, guys. We only need 10 subscribers to get to 4,800. So if you're new, be one of the 10 to help us out, help us grow. That'd be fantastic if you would do that. What else do we got? Oh, yes. Let's have a look at what Team Lambo has to say about JASMY's price action. Let's see. So he says, here's the JASMY EW count on why 50 cents will not be and should be the rally top. It won't be the top, he says. Let's find out. Number one, we start our 5-wave count in December 2022 when it tried to bounce off the bottom. Okay. In May 2023, the wave failed, leading to an extended WXY correction, which is down here, guys, is what he's talking about. So we had that. Number three, then we bottomed in August 2023 and have started a fresh 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. So as you can see here, guys, we bottomed out, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what he's looking at. According to the current wave count, this should top near 3 cents 7. To 5 cents. That would be the real blow off top, and then we might see small corrections towards 2 cents, 3 cents, depending on the top. Then we might start another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave count. The bigger wave is towards 50 cents. 6, bigger fifth wave can top off anywhere between $1 and $3 as another blow off top. That's the massive bull case. So his most bullish case on the 5-wave structure here, guys, ends in between $1.15 and $3.40. Somewhere in this box, in the peak of the bull run, is where he's targeting. That would be perfectly acceptable for me. $2 would be fine, right? $2 would be epic. What do you guys think? How much total inflow you think is possible for the entire crypto market in 2025? Are you talking about the total market cap of the asset class? I honestly think we're going to be somewhere around 15 trillion, man, to be honest with you. 15 trillion this time around, in that range, give or take, right? Give or take $1 trillion. Can't wait for the new job. Hopefully I make a decent return this bull run, but I'll be much more prepared for the next one. I'm learning a lot from you, and I definitely be sticking around. Thank you. Hey, awesome, Sam. It's awesome to have you sticking around and supporting the channel, man. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that everybody is, is figuring this out, guys, and learning. And then, like I said, we're going to be here through it all, man. We're going to be here through the euphoria, through the blow off top. And then the entire year of 2026, when we're crashing down to the bottom, guess what? We're going to be here every single day. And when it's time to start dollar cost averaging back into the market again and rolling all the profits we made from this bull run into the bottom of the next bear market, guys, so that we can really, really like 100, 1000x those profits in the following bull run. Guys, life-changing wealth. I'm telling you, it's going to be about a 5 to 6 year adventure that we're going to go on together on this channel. So I hope that you guys stay here for all of it, because it's going to be a wild ride. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. It's going to be fun. And at the end of it all, guys, we're going to make a lot of freaking money. So I really hope you guys all stick around through it, and we'll continue to grow the family out through this adventure. And it's going to be a great time. Nice. With the adoption of ETFs, I was thinking between 12 to 18 trillion. You're in the same ballpark. Absolutely, man. We're going to get old together, Rob. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We're going to, well, I'm already old AF, but we'll get older. How's that sound? Yeah. So like I said, guys, make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Help us out. What do we got? Chris in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. Haas, what's up, man? Long time no see. Hope all's good. All's good, brother. Hope all is good with you too, my brother. Do you think Uniswap hits its all-time high? Yeah, I do. I really do. But Uniswap, listen, if Ethereum doesn't get their stuff together, man, Uniswap's days are numbered in the coming couple of cycles, right? Because like I talk about all the time, projects like Swiftcoin and their swap are going to really start to phase out these older, archaic, decentralized exchanges like MetaMask, Uniswap, PancakeSwap, because they're too complicated to use. They're not user-friendly, and their prices are way too high for gas fees and slippage, and right. So that's why I say, guys, Swift is blazing a trail for the next generation of decentralized exchanges and swaps, right? Their fees are so low, you don't have to worry about that. They've got over 400 plus, projects you can across bridges. Like it's a fantastic project in Swift. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's why Uniswap's going to have to get it together, or else they're going to be left behind, right? Check this out, guys. Very, very bullish news. Little Bidman, courtesy Little Bidman, shows VIO laptop spotted on the Sony booth at ICASSP 2024, guys. As you can see right here, if you don't know, it's the JASMY Secure PC. VIO, a subsidiary of Sony. So yes, they do have partnerships already with Sony, guys. You love to see it. And we got another listing for KASPA. Check this out. Boom. KASPA on Femex. Very, very bullish. That's a second centralized exchange listing of the day for KASPA. Absolutely bullish there, guys. Love to see that. What do we got? Let's check in on what Steph's Crypto has to say, shall we? So Steph says JASMY will retest the all-time high from 2021's bull run market at 32 cents in the coming 8 to 16 months. Don't get left behind. Good advice, guys. I agree with him 100%. All-time, the local all-time high from the last bull run going to be reached, guys. 32 cents in the short term, medium term. BTC holding strong on 61. Hope it keeps like that. I don't know, man. I think we're going to see. Listen, tomorrow is the FOMC, right? I think we're going to see a crash tomorrow, to be honest with you. I think Bitcoin's going to drop back down below 60K. I think it's inevitable, guys. I think it's inevitable. We see a mid to low $50,000 range for Bitcoin before we work our way to the upside. That's just how I see it. And this is something else, guys, that we can expect a lot of big things out of JASMY coming up too. Listen, Expo 2025 is coming. We've got drone footage. If you don't know what Expo 2025 is, guys, it's a technology. The biggest and best technology in the world gets revealed at this event, and this is months long. This event is like something like 4 to 6 months long in Japan. Like I said, Expo 2025. I am expecting big things out of JASMY at this event, guys, over the coming 6 months or so. Very, very well, not 6 months, or it's next year, but 6 months into next year is what I'm talking about, right? It's 6 months long. So expect a lot of big things to come out of this, guys. You know that it's in Japan, and it is the world's largest technology expo. You know that JASMY is going to be there. You know that JASMY is going to be revealing some big, big things. I'm super excited about it, guys. And I hope you guys are too. Just know that it's coming. Mark it on your calendars, man. As per your previous video, if JASMY will meet the KPI goals, those lockups should start to exceed the 100 million. Would love to see 1 billion in lockups for this upcoming months. Yes, I agree. We are going to see, in my opinion, they're going to increase the amount that they lock up on a monthly basis. I think that they're just gauging things right now, because if they do want to reach their goal, one of their KPI goals is 36 billion locked up and only 14 billion in circulation. Now, if that's the case, then they would have to increase the rate at which they're locking up, right? So we're going to have to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on with that as well, for sure. We need BTC to drop. Yeah, let's just get it over with, right? Let's get down to that 55K level, maybe even 52, 53, so we can fill our bags up for final takeoff. What do you think JASMY will be? Bitcoin, does that fall? I think around 1 cent 2. 1 cent 2 is roughly where I'm targeting, if it even gets that low, to be honest with you. JASMY's been holding up really, really well against the market, like for a long time. So are you going to live in Japan, Rob? Honestly, probably not. I would love to, but probably not. I don't think my wife would let me, to be honest. I might buy like a condo over there or something so I can spend most of my time there, though. Once the PDL is active for everyone in people's native language, we should see token lockup quickly. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. We're just waiting for that. We're just waiting for that final. Let's get it out on Android. Like I said, they're just waiting on a couple more. There are some regions that they're still, trying to overcome some regulatory hurdles, right? They have to make sure that they're regulatory compliant in every single jurisdiction, right? Like right now, I understand they're having problems in Poland, for example, right? Sorry, I shouldn't say that. They're not having problems. They're just not compliant yet in Poland, right? But they will be. They're already active in the US and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of getting it into English and getting it onto the Android, not just Apple, right? And then what do we got here? Again, from Little Bidman, he says, JASMY released a 2023 case study report on information leaks, JASMY Secure PC. So in 2023, we are informed. What are the information leak cases of small and medium-sized enterprises and the key points of the countermeasures? In 2023, the number of incidents of information leakage and loss at domestic listed companies and the subsidiaries reached a record high. Cases of large companies tend to get the most attention, but small and medium-sized enterprises are no exception. The risk of information leakage poses a significant threat to all companies, regardless of their size. So, what measures should small to medium-sized businesses take to combat the risk of information leaks? In this article, we will introduce actual cases of information leaks and based on the lessons learned from them, we will explain key security measures that small to medium enterprises should take immediately. So I'm going to be doing a separate video on the article, guys, just so that you know. So stay tuned for that. Probably come out tomorrow, tomorrow or the next day. But JASMY Secure PC solves this problem, right? You love to see it. And our dear friend Neosun, what does he got to say? The team has always kept their commitments until now. So far, we know that Janction will take this initiative. There is no doubt that JASMY will be integrated into the PlayStation ecosystem in the future. All technological features of JASMY are implemented in Janction. I agree. And what else do we got? Michael Saylor says there are thousands of pension funds, like we talked about, in the United States, managing 27. It's actually 40 because I looked it up, right? 40 trillion in assets. So very, very big, guys. That is a lot of money. And what do we got here?
Hey buddy.
What's going on?
So you got a new background. You in a new house?
Yeah, my JASMY games.
Oh, sweet.
Oh man. So how you doing? It's been a while, man.
Yeah, it has been a little while. The market hasn't been doing a whole lot, but it's been a while.
Yeah. It's been doing something. It's been making a lot of people impatient. I'll tell you that much. Holy smokes.
Yeah. I saw a post from Plan B this morning that said something about 2 to 5 months after the halving, it usually starts to jump. So, that might be right again.
Yeah, I was reading about that too, and I actually went back and looked at the last 2 market cycles, and it does ring true that about 6 months after the halving event, Bitcoin's generally double in price.
Right. Yeah.
So it kind of is like a slow shuffle to the upside over the course of like 5-6 months, right? So I'm personally targeting October because that would be 6 months after the halving, right? And I mean the day of the halving, Bitcoin was $64,000 and some change. So theoretically, by October, should be $128,000 based on the last 2 cycles, right? Which is very interesting to see if it continues to follow suit or if it differs. But as we were talking about before you got here, and you and I have talked on this before, I personally think that these ETFs, it could actually be more than double with these ETFs. And I'm going to show you why here, brother. Let me just find it here for you. You were the one that had first mentioned this. I think like a month and a half ago. So Michael Vandepop says the first pension fund has officially bought the allocation into Bitcoin ETFs.
Okay.
And I remember you had brought that up, talking about if that money, those pension funds start getting into the Bitcoin ETFs, how crazy things could get. So I looked up how much money is currently in the U.S. Pension funds, and staggering number is $40 trillion.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's a lot of potential, man. Even at like 3%, 2%, right?
Yeah, exactly. And think of this too, think of employers, like employers historically offer you a match of anywhere from, let's say, 4 to 8%, something like that is typically how it works over here, right? So a lot of people, though, today may not be even doing that because you can't get access a lot of times to these ETFs or to Bitcoin in general, right? And so why would you be sinking all your retirement money into something that's going to do nothing? Case in point, I think of my own retirement accounts. And, way back when, what if I had been putting that money the whole time in Bitcoin? And what if my employer had been matching it? I'd be filthy rich today. But they didn't, right? They didn't do that. And they still don't do that by and large today. So the thing, though, if you think about it, if companies are trying to be competitive and are trying to sort of, one up each other and say, hey, I got something that they don't have. What if they had a 401k offering access to the Bitcoin ETF? And by the way, we'll match those funds. That's a pretty big benefit, right?
Well, one of my subscribers there, he asked me a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I'm trying to explain to my wife why we should be buying Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, this is how I would talk to my wife if she wasn't open-minded to it. Like, my wife, unfortunately, she's very, 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 very open to making sure that we are involved in crypto because, I mean, she's not stupid, right? At the end of the day. And she sees which way the wind is blowing. And so I said to him, if my wife wasn't, right, what I would say to my wife is this. I would say, look, we essentially buying into 401k, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or any kind of retirement fund. Essentially what we're doing is we're dollar cost averaging into it, right?
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
what you're doing. So look at the returns on that versus just allocating that money or even some of that money into Bitcoin instead on a monthly basis, right? And then look at those returns, right? And tell me why we should be putting money into a 401k, which we might end up getting ripped off for at the end of the day, right?
You're paying fees.
You're paying fees, yeah. As opposed to just dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin and watching that, continue to grow exponentially over the cycles until you're ready to retire. It just makes more sense to me.
Well, think of it like this. So your average 401k on a good year, I would say, is anywhere between 7 and 13%. That's a really good year on a 401k, right? Bitcoin year over year, historically. Now, this may not be true moving forward, or it might be, right? Because remember, we might be in the actual gold rush right now, between now and the next 10 years. So historically, Bitcoin year over year has returned 200%. So you have something that returns 200 historically versus 7 to 13. Where are you going to put your money?
That's the funny thing, but having to explain that to people who are outside of crypto, who've never researched it, and then you explain it to them, but then you have that second hurdle of them feeling like, well, that sounds too good to be true, right? Because the ignorant mind would automatically go to that, right? Well, that sounds too good to be true, right?
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? If they think it is, then don't get in.
Yeah.
Take that risk. 10 years from now, you'll still be working. I'll be filthy rich. Goodbye.
Exactly. But then they call you lucky, right?
Yeah, that's usually how it works. Oh, well, you just got lucky. It's like, no, not exactly, but okay, thanks.
Yeah, I took the risk.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the one thing that will happen is time is going to move on, right? And so the time that you could have been buying it at these prices will be long gone. So, you and I talked about kind of outside of this chat just briefly about we're now learning about these banks that are, it's coming out little whispers of, hey, did you know this bank's been buying the ETF? Did you know that bank's been buying the ETF? Really? Really? So the banks are buying the ETFs. Obviously, the ETFs keep gobbling up more with institutional demand. We've now got ETFs popping up around the globe. And you don't think this thing's going to be worth money?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't even have to know crypto to know that. It's basic economics, right?
Well, remember this also. Remember the last time we talked, I told you about who I think Satoshi is, right?
Yeah.
I feel if indeed that's true, and if indeed it's Japanese computer scientists, it all makes sense. Every bit of it. And I think it all kind of does. The more you think about it in that context, right? The more you think, I bet these guys did know what they were doing. They put it out there in the world. I mean, they know the power of this thing, right? And just look at it historically over time. So like, Plan B in his post this morning, I actually left him a comment. He hasn't responded, and hopefully he will, but you never know. Right. So my comment was this, like, I read on Reddit about somebody who tried to get into mining and it just wasn't profitable, right? Mining, not profitable. And so the big miners, it's still profitable depending on what rigs they had up to begin with, whatever. But if somebody's just trying today, like you or me, are trying to get into mining, it would be very, very challenging, right? Because it's so expensive just to get the mining rig, to get it all set up, to get that going. You really just kind of like break even, right? And then you have the next cycle where your rewards are cut. And so what I'm wondering is the Bitcoin chart kind of flattening out as it gets more expensive to mine, right? But what if there's a wild card that comes along that suddenly makes it very profitable to mine? Could that flattening all of a sudden go higher, right? Maybe it could. And if you think about it, really the Bitcoin cycle is a cycle because of mining. But when the mining's gone, then there is no more cycle. So eventually, at some point, the cycle itself has to break. But what I wonder is kind of the profitability of mining and how that weighs on the whole thing. And obviously why that matters is Bitcoin influences everything, right? So if Bitcoin suddenly started jumping again because some new chat GPT-ish AI, whatever, something in the mining world happens, some sort of, cloud mining, who knows, right? Somebody comes up with something, makes it more profitable. That could change everything overnight, and everybody's going to be like, God, I should have been buying it. I thought the run was over, and there it goes, right?
Well, I was reading that these hedge funds, these asset managers like BlackRock and stuff, are actually starting to contact the miners directly to buy the Bitcoin, and because it's starting to become so scarce on exchanges, right? Like the OCT reserves are running, they're almost flatlined, right?
Yeah.
So then what do they want to do? Do they want to buy it straight off exchanges, or they're trying to circumvent the whole thing and go straight to the miners? And I think that's when you really start to see price appreciation, right? Because when you've got the price in the miners' hands, right? Well, there's no supply, eh?
Well, it kind of depends, right? So like, how is the ETF set up? So most of them are set up as through custodian through Coinbase. So Coinbase is holding all the coins and doing that part for them. But like you said, if they're going outside of that and trying to pick up Bitcoin, maybe they are. Maybe they're doing it in a few different buckets, right? I mean, if you think about how much money is going into it, would you want all of that money in one place with one custodian in one area? Probably not, right? Because, everybody said, it's like, what happens if Coinbase custodian gets hacked somehow? Like, then what? And everybody's kind of like, I don't know. Right?
Well, that's a good question. I think I read that too. Yeah, that was the big question. Like, what happens then? But I guess we'll have to cross that bridge if and when we ever kind of come to it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like right now the miners are not in fantastic profit. But like I said, if the price of Bitcoin does end up following the last few cycles and does end up doubling 6 months after the halving, well, then they're back in massive profits again, right? So, right. Like, I think I looked it up the other day. I'll look it up again right now. Like, what is the price of Bitcoin? 61 and some change right now?
Let me look. It is. Oh, sorry, I'm on JASMY. Let's see here. Bitcoin, 61,577.
Okay, so 61,577, and then you look at this. So I said, how much does it cost to mine one Bitcoin right now? The cost is 53. So yeah, they're not in much profit at all right now. No. And but like if the price does go up to 128,000, and it's still the cost of mining one stays somewhere around that 53K mark, well then it's gravy.
Right. And you and I have talked before. I've got a great line that people don't suddenly become who they've never been, right? Same thing is true of Bitcoin. It's not suddenly not going to be what it's been historically, cycle over cycle.
Yeah. What's got me just kind of like, I'm shell shocked almost by it, is that there are legitimately people out there right now creating content and on X and stuff like that, talking about how the cycle's over, we've topped, and we're heading towards a bear market. And I'm just like they were doing this before the halving even happened. And I was like, man, you are so new to crypto if you think that that's what's happening. Like you just said, it's not going to just suddenly stop being what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Without a reason, right?
Well, and sometimes you just need a simple little catalyst. I mean, the way it usually works in crypto is we're kind of like down in the depths of the dungeon, you know, the dumpiest feeling possible for like a month, multiple months, and then it flips and everybody's feeling great, right? And you know, it kind of makes me think of how you know, what's the guy's name, the Roaring Kitty or whatever. You know, he shows back up yesterday and all of a sudden they're like, GameStop to the moon, right? And it exploded, right? GameStop explodes, AMC explodes. And it's kind of like, you know, the same kind of thing can happen in the crypto space. I mean, easily, you know, like it's not outside the realm of possibility. So, you know, I think sometimes we kind of get mired in this like cycle of just like, oh, like, yeah, everything's dumpy, you know, it's this, what do they call it? The self-deprecating humor, you know, that's part of crypto. But I also love that, right?
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah. But I mean, at some point, we are going to break out of it. And I do think historically, Plan B, you know, is pretty accurate in what he's tracking over there. So
I know you see some guys like BitBoy. I know they like to come down hard on Plan B because his last, you know, the scale kind of broke in the last bull run. But I watched kind of a little bit of an explanation on that, and I tend to see his point. You know, he was saying that, you know, Bitcoin would have made it to 100K if it wasn't for the C19, right? That whole massive drive down in the entire market, which kind of slowed everything, and it as a result, the whole market kind of underperformed due to that kind of hindrance, right? And I mean, I could see his point. I could see his point when he says that. So I guess this time around, I know he's projecting about a 250 to 300K Bitcoin by the peak, right?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like 150 by the end of this year is where his target currently is.
Could be.
And I mean, the way I'm looking at it, it does line up with the traditional 4-year cycle as well, because if we're supposed to be around $128,000 Bitcoin by October, well, then that only leaves us 3 months to go from 128 to around 150. So he's not far off, right?
Yeah.
And we are just starting to hit the parabolic run of the cycle around that time as well.
Pretty much.
It'll be interesting, right? It lines up, in my opinion, with what he's saying. You know?
Yeah, I think so. I think something else too is that it's usually very like month dependent, you know, which kind of makes me wonder like who's pulling the strings in the background, right? Like why are certain months good months and other months are bad months, right? You know, it's like, well, what's going on in the background here? You know, I know there's some stuff happening.
Well, in the last bull run, didn't we had a double top? It wasn't one of the tops in October or November, if I remember correctly, right? That was the second top.
Yeah. I think it started going up in October, maybe peaked around December, kind of, you know, hummed around January, February, blew up again, and then the market tanked, you know?
Yeah.
I want to say.
So I think we could be seeing something similar this time around. People keep asking me, like, you know, is the market going to repeat? I think we're going to see a hybrid, in my opinion, of the 2017 cycle and the 2021, because in 2017, we had that pullback. The sharp, I think it was 38% about 2 weeks after the halving, right? And we did see, I mean, not quite 38, but we saw about a 25% pullback about 2 weeks after the halving, right?
Yeah.
And then you combine that with, the potential for a double top in this bull run. I think we'll probably see another double top this time around. I think we're going to see a top somewhere near the end of this year again, similar to last time, like that fourth quarter, near the end of the fourth quarter. And then I think we're going to see a bit of a pullback in the beginning of next year, like you said, kind of ho-hum around. And then I think, near spring, we're going to see that double top. And then summer is just going to go, spend the next year going downwards. I think that's how it's going to kind of play out this time around again.
That could be. I kind of wonder, there's a lot of geopolitical weight on this last cycle that had maybe held it down lower than it should have been, right? So who's to say that if at some point that finally dissipates, that it goes maybe higher than it's being predicted,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I was talking at the beginning of the stream. I was watching some interviews from Washington this morning, and they were talking about how the Democrats right now are extremely shocked that the backlash that they're receiving from the crypto industry, not necessarily the industry, but the crypto voters, right? Especially the young Democratic voters who are turning against the Democrats because you have Biden who comes out and says, well, he's going to veto anything that comes across. So I don't know if you followed this, but they voted down Gensler's rule or whatever, right?
Okay.
So now they're looking at, passing their legislation where essentially, I did a video breaking it down, but essentially what they're going to do is in the bill is they're going to hand over jurisdiction of crypto to digital assets, including NFTs, over to the CFTC, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they were going to hand over certain jurisdictions to the SEC, which would be ICOs and things like that, right?
Okay.
But they stressed in the legislation that all digital assets sold on the secondary market, whether it's NFTs or crypto, are not securities, that they are labeled legally commodities and are the jurisdiction of the CFTC. So that's what they're trying to pass right now. So Gary would no longer be able to sue any exchanges. He wouldn't be able to sue, and he wouldn't be able to throw random altcoins into these lawsuits and stuff like that. He wouldn't be able to go after them legally. He wouldn't be able to, right?
Yeah.
That's what the bill is. And Biden comes out and says, well, no, I'll veto this if it comes on my desk because it limits the SEC's ability to protect investors. Well, what's the difference between the SEC protecting investors and the CFTC protecting investors, right?
Well, and define protecting investors.
That's the key right there. Yeah.
Of course.
So yeah, but apparently now I don't know a whole bunch about the U.S. Political game, but from what I was reading, apparently a 2/3 vote in Congress could actually overturn a veto by the president.
Okay.
Which would take a lot of Democrats to be on board, right?
Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you guys have in Canada like billboards from like law firms with the people that they say like, hey, Dan got me $4 million? Do you have those?
Oh yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Okay. So imagine a billboard like that with the SEC. The SEC saved me. I don't think we're going to see that billboard. I'm just saying. I don't know if there's anybody out there who could actually put their face on there and say, hey, the SEC saved me, $1 million. Like, yeah, probably not. Probably not. Maybe they cost you $1 million.
Well, that's another thing we were talking about was the SEC seeking discouragement, obviously, in the Ripple case, right?
Yeah.
And the argument from Ripple is that they're not entitled to it because discouragement goes to the victims of the crime, right? People who lost money. Unfortunately for the SEC, nobody lost any money, right? Every single person who got an ICO on XRP is in profit. There's no one who's not, right? So what the SEC is arguing is, yeah, but some are in more profits than others are, right? So it's like what that okay, but they're still not victims, so they didn't lose anything.
I feel
So
like
they
they're
want
grasping at straws, like going back to what you were saying about the CFTC and the SEC and who covers what. I kind of view this, it's almost like if you took a Tesla, right? And you said, we're going to put super unleaded in it because it's better than unleaded, and we're going to put it in the car. And it's like, but it's an electric car. It really doesn't work with super unleaded. You know what I mean? It's kind of like we're trying to like mix these puzzle pieces together, and it's like you can't, like, crypto is not something that really belongs in either arena. Like it needs its own thing overseeing the crypto market. Like, is it really that hard to like comprehend that concept? Like in the US, usually the way it works on things like this is they'll create a new agency like when there's suddenly a need, right? So 9/11 happens, they create Homeland Security. Like, how about that? After World War II happened, they created the CIA, right? It's kind of like you usually have these events where it's like, hey, maybe we do need some government oversight of that. So let's create a new, department that's above it. And why wouldn't you do the same thing with crypto? Or maybe you take, the CFTC, the SEC, and whatever the crypto thing would be, and you put all three of them under the same umbrella. Like, oh my God, is it really that hard to figure this out?
Well, they can't do that because then they couldn't control each bureaucrat individually, right? Come on, Jesse. I mean,
too much logic there. Sorry.
Yeah, you can't just go blowing their whole thing up on them.
I know, right? Hey, we got jobs. People need jobs, right? Gary's got to feed his kids. Come on.
Yeah. Well, he's only got $100 million. I mean, what do you? I mean, I would be fine with the CFTC, having jurisdiction over the digital asset space, because then you'd only have people that are being sued for legitimately doing things that they shouldn't be doing, right? It would be a commodity. The digital asset space would be commodities, and we would be free of all of this BS. Bigger money would have less of a problem coming in.
Right.
It'd probably be easier to get ETFs on altcoins as well, to be honest with you. I'm sure Gary would have absolutely no problem at that point saying, oh, yeah, because then he'd have jurisdiction over it as an ETF, right?
Right. Yeah. The thing with Gary is he wants to go after anything that had an ICO and say that it's a security, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like there's certain aspects that it's like, yeah, it sort of meets your Howey test, but not really. And I think he's reaching. He's been reaching the whole time. Like it's like it doesn't even fall under you. Yeah. I mean, how like asinine is that? It's like the fire department going out to like a police call. It's like, dude, like it's not even your thing. The funny thing is, with Biden over, it's like nobody even understands how this works anyways. So he's allowed to just kind of keep on going. Like imagine if your job, you constantly did the wrong thing like that over and over and over again, and you're never held accountable,
Well, I was getting back to what I was saying about Wall Street, what I was watching this morning. And another thing that they had said was that Democrats are starting to notice that they're losing this argument, right?
Yeah.
And that it is, what's that?
They should.
Yeah. And it's starting to show in the polling, right? And it is going to lead to, according to them, it is going to lead to a very hard conversation between the Biden administration and Gary Gensler, where they're going to have to sit him down and say, you need to chill because you're costing us the presidential election with your BS, right? Mm-hmm. You got to stop, bud. Right?
Yeah.
At some point.
And it's kind of ironic with that. I mean, the Democratic Party tries to be the party of like the working class, let's say. Well, the working class is investing in crypto because when they put their money in the 401k, it's not worth shit. you know? So it's like you're completely missing the entire point here. I mean, you know, what's really funny is if, let's say none of them know anything at all about crypto. Honestly, all we really need to do is like sit them down, like open up the laptop and turn on like the last 5 Coinbase commercials, and you can kind of get the gist of it, you know? But they don't even do that, you know? So there's like a big time disconnect on the whole thing. And, you know, and Trump even came out recently and said, you know, that he was all good with crypto, you know? And it's like, you know, the other side here, like, really, you got like no response, like nothing. I mean, nothing.
Well, I think it was the same day when he did that. I think it was the same day that and actually that's another thing that I heard this morning was that letter from the White House to Congress that said that Biden would just veto the legislation. Apparently that actually came because, listen, Biden doesn't actually send out every letter that goes out, right?
Yeah, of course.
His administration does, right? Someone, Elizabeth Warren, whoever it is, right? Apparently, that letter came from Gary Gensler. How is that? How ironic is that, right? How dare you squat down my bill, right?
Great.
Like it's Gensler and Warren, man. Like, you know, and again, at some point, Biden's advisors are going to sit him down and say, "You're losing this." Like, from what I understand, I was seeing it. I think I saw it the other day. 20%, I think it was, of young Democratic voters are in crypto.
Yeah,
and it's their one issue. You know, they're one issue voters, right?
Right.
That is a big swing in Democratic voters. You could turn a lot of blue states red with that number when you're looking at the whole of the United States, right? Yeah. That's a big margin to be losing those votes. How are you going to make those votes up, right?
Yeah, good point. And you know, this is why a lot of younger people aren't even in a party; they're just independent, right? Yeah. Because you have things like this, that it's such a colossal missed opportunity. You know, it's kind of a no-brainer. It shows how out of touch you are with the new generation. You know, there was a funny post on X, and it said something about how it was like, you know, your boomer parents, when they bought their house for 7 raspberries and they're selling it now for 750,000, and they're all like dancing around this, you know, bar and stuff, bebopping around. And it just kind of shows you, it's like, that's true. Like, how is the young new generation supposed to ever get anywhere if you're putting them so far behind just to start, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like we're moving the starting line further and further and further back. And if you're completely out of touch with that, then you probably shouldn't be in politics.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the thing. The things that they don't like to tell you, right, is like, it's not only that like a single income could support a household for a multitude of reasons. One, houses were cheaper. Two, right? The other reason is that money was worth more. So it's not just that, you know, the houses cost like $1 million for a decent house nowadays, where it would have cost you $55K for our parents, right?
Yeah.
But you combine that with the fact that the cost of living has gone up, but wages haven't, right? Have been stagnant, and then the money's not worth anywhere near as much. You combine these factors, and you've got a generation that's like, crypto's their only option.
Yeah, they're doomed. Basically, the future will either be rented or shared, right? So the only way to get ahead is going to be to team up with your friends, or you're simply going to have to rent forever. Here in the U.S., you probably seen the show I guess it was on the 90s, Married with Children, right? With Al Bundy. Okay, so like one of my favorite shows of all time, right? And I've seen somebody put a meme together with Al Bundy, and it's like, who knew? You know, something about how back then this guy who was a shoe salesman at like the world's crappiest mall could afford a suburban house in Chicago. You know, Like, good luck with that today.
But it's true. It fit with the times, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy though to think about. It's like, God, he was a shoe salesman. She didn't work. Like, how did they afford to do any? Now, granted, the running joke on the show was that the fridge was always empty. There was never anything in it, right? But
Yeah.
but even still, I mean, they had the house in like suburban Chicago. They didn't rent. It was never implied that he was renting the house, so they owned the house.
Yeah. Yeah, there was never any landlord or anything.
No.
Let's get into some of these questions here. Big Kev says, Jess, welcome in. I have a question, sir. Do you have any update on the PDL being available for Android users?
I haven't heard anything on that. JASMY team, by and large, has been pretty quiet lately. They've been real quiet. The closest to anything like that, like Lil Bidman, apparently, he posts every once in a while on like things with the PDL specific. It's usually specific to like Sagan Tosu and things like that. I haven't heard of anything specifically though with Android, but I wouldn't doubt it if that was something that was in the works. Typically over the last couple of years, whenever they're quiet like now, that's usually because they're working. And I mean, Hara, I kind of feel like has announced things like the JASMY chain and the super wallet. He sort of made the announcement like 2 or 3 times, but we still don't have it yet. So it could be there. All this stuff is kind of in the works. He's hinted at it. There was a comment recently where he was hinting at something in there also. But me personally, I haven't heard anything directly on Android.
Well, I talked with Little Bidman about that actually, because he had posted a screenshot of him and Spencer from JASMY US. They actually have already created their PDL lockers, right?
Oh, okay, cool.
But it's only available on Apple right now, and it's in Japanese. So one of my subscribers, shout out to Crypto Queen, she actually put a tutorial video from switching it from Japanese to English, so that in our Discord. Yeah. So it is available right now on Apple. There are another follow-up that Little Bidman did was that there are certain jurisdictions where it's not available yet due to regulatory hurdles, like Poland was one of the places. But it is available in the US on Apple right now, because I know that Spencer and Little Bidman both have already created their accounts. And apparently, according to Little Bidman, I asked him for clarification on it, and he said you could play games on there and you could answer questionnaires and stuff like that to earn their DD points, right?
Okay.
But it's just not available on Android right now. And it's like, why? Yeah.
It could just be something that's in the works. So stuff like that usually takes time. It doesn't happen immediately. Maybe, within a couple years or a year. I mean, hard to say,
So it's coming out tomorrow, guaranteed. That's what you're saying?
Let's write that down for tomorrow.
Guys, hold Jesse's feet to the fire tomorrow.
Didn't he say Wednesday? He said Wednesday.
And he also said JASMY to $5 by Wednesday too.
Oh
right?
yeah, right. Yeah.
Chris, they still won't listen, even though they said I've done well last bull run. Oh yeah, he's talking about friends and family, and they say you're lucky. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we can all relate to that one. Yep.
Yeah, we're lucky. Hey Jesse, what do you think JASMY's price will be in the bull run in a horrible scenario?
Horrible scenario, I would say
1.75 cents.
I mean, really horrible scenario. Let's say 10 to 25 cents. I would say is bad, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of hype still waiting, right? And there's going to be a lot of people that, they catch this thing and they go, God, should I get into, kind of like look at GameStop, look at AMC, everything that's happening with that all of a sudden. Everybody's going, hey, maybe I should throw a little bit in there. So I feel like JASMY has that hype kind of across a bunch of bunch of different spaces, influencers, etc. I think a lot of people have started to catch on that there's a big possibility with this one. And, you know, this is like one of those that could do the 100x or more, right? And you know, in our prior Cardano comparisons, you know, Cardano went over $3. Could JASMY go over $3 at the peak of this thing? Maybe it could. You know, who knows? It really just depends on if enough people are watching it and enough people get in, and then all bets are off. You know.
Speaking of that, going into 2025, Little Bidman here posted a reminder of Expo 2025 in Japan, right? That's like 6 months long, I think it is. I was listening to Icy Amphibian was talking about it on an X Spaces about 2 days ago, and he said that, and I agree, he said he expects JASMY to be there and to come out with something at this over the course. I mean, being 6 months long, you would expect a company like JASMY at an event, a massive event like this in Japan, you know, that they would be, especially with Ondo there, you know, you'd think there's got to be some big things coming next year when this expo kicks off. Well,
they did the drone show once already in the past. And that recent lockup was through BitPoint. Again, BitPoint was the tie with Big Boss where they were paying him with JASMY years ago. So there's definitely a relationship there of something that they could do on the marketing side for sure. You know, speaking of Little Bidman, he's been posting recently. He's posted a couple of them. I don't know if you saw them. You probably did. Of Sony expos where they have VAIO laptops. Did you see that?
I did. I actually covered that today.
I saw those. I was like, man, look at that. VAIO laptops. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was awesome. I saw that. Very, very bullish, man. I can't wait to see them in the United States.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I'm gonna buy one, if anything, just to support the cause. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same here. I wanted to get one, and I think in the past I might have had a VAIO at one point in time, about 20 years ago or so.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah.
AMC's the stock market meme. Agreed. Where are we according to the psychology of the market? You know. Well, that's the question, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Believe me, if I had the answer to that, I'd be rich right now, right?
Yeah, where are we at? Are we in like the disbelief or yeah, maybe we're at disbelief.
Yeah.
We haven't even hit hope yet, you know?
Yeah, I agree. We're not even close to hope yet.
Yeah.
I think we would be down here in disbelief. You probably have the halving somewhere back here. Then you got disbelief. Yeah. Yep. Then, you know, we'll get a spike up soon. We'll see some hope. Yeah. But listen, nobody knows for sure when it comes to the psychology of the market, right? If anybody had, you should never be trying to find absolute answers to things like that in the market, because nobody has them. And anyone who says that they do is full of it, right? No one, that's like, sorry?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's like somebody saying they know exactly when the top's going to be, right?
Yeah, timing the market, right? I'm timing it. I'm going to do it. Good luck. You know.
Yeah, it's just not a thing that happens, right? All you can do is base on your experience. Like, I know you're probably new to the market, so it's like, you know, you try to stick with it as best you can. And all you can do the first time around is not let the euphoria and the manipulation over on X and YouTube, you know, kind of manipulate you. Because again, I mean, Jesse, I'm sure you remember, man, in 2021, you had like BitBoy all over TV saying Cardano's going to $10. Don't sell your Cardano. Bitcoin's going to $250,000. It's a super cycle, you know?
Yeah, there's a common repeat post that always gets used in crypto where they take like 10 cryptos and they put the price this cycle, and it's always like way out, really lofty. And I think the idea is that, like, you know, we say it's going way up here, and if it goes somewhere in here, that's still a huge win, right?
Yeah. That's why for me, my strategy is always very, very simple. When I buy into a project, I have a look at it and I guess, okay, I think, where's this project going to go in my estimation in terms of a price, right? And then I dollar cost average my way out of it as we work our way up towards it. I don't worry about the psychology of the cheat sheet. I don't worry about what euphoria is happening. I have my price points, I have my plan, and I stick to my plan. And as long as I reach the goals that I've set in the market for myself, I'm happy.
Good.
Right? If it continues to go up after that and I've met my goals, it's none of my business, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you're happy with whatever your strategy is, then that's a win, you know?
Yeah. But I understand the greed aspect, and some people will, they'll feel that they'll get out of a project like JASMY. Let's say it gets to $1 and they get out at $1 and then it goes to $2. They're like, oh, and they're all angry. Like, it's none of your business. You got into JASMY at half a cent. You got out at $1. Man, be happy with your returns, right?
Yeah.
And roll those returns into the next bear market.
Yeah. You can do that.
One of the questions I was going to ask you is, are you finished accumulating for the bull run?
No, of course not. I buy every day.
I was hoping I'd hear that, but I don't know, right?
Yeah, I buy every single day. So every day I've got DCA orders that go through. And, I kind of look at it very simple. Like, red means buy, green, if I want to sell, means sell, right? So red means buy. As long as it's red, I'm going to keep buying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a long-term believer. I've seen the historical trends. I don't think we're going to zero. I think we're going higher, and, with all the institutional investing, I follow those ETFs pretty close. And I was going to tell you, if you pull up, what is it? Hey, Apollo.
Hey, Apollo?
Yes.
H-E-Y?
H-E-Y Apollo for the Bitcoin ETF.
Just pulling it up here, and let me know if I'm in the right place. Is this the right place?
Yeah, so go to the tracker up top.
Oh, you got these are the ETFs here?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it loading?
Oh, why is it not showing up? Oh, it opened a different window. That's why I didn't know that. There we go.
Okay, there we go. So what I wanted to show in this is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Look, it's now at 289. Keeps dropping in terms of Bitcoin held. So if you see there, at the beginning of the ETFs at launch, it had 619,000. It's now at 289. What happens when it runs out? Then there's not anything to sell, right?
Well, they have actually, their selling has dropped, as I'm sure you're aware, dramatically, right?
Yeah.
Like they've even had a couple of days of inflows now.
That's surprising.
So I would think that, I mean, listen, knock on wood, right? That it's, it's realistic to come to the assumption that for the most part, we might not see any more of those days where it's like 366 million dumped on the market. Like, we see the odd one where it's like 59 million or 30 million, but those really heavy ones seem to have all but disappeared at the end of like March.
Yeah, so think of this. So when I sent you that link about I think it was the Bank of Montreal that had been buying the ETF, right? Let's say they had been buying it through Grayscale and they're paying a 1.5% fee. And then BlackRock comes out and says, hey, 0.25%. I mean, that's a financial institution. And they're telling you they're going to drop the fee, that far down. I mean, 1/6 of what you had been being charged. I mean, I would be like, sell it all. We're going over to BlackRock, and that's kind of what you see in this. Like if you scroll down a little bit, there's a chart that kind of shows it all. Yeah, that one there. So I mean, this is your chart. You can see the grayscale trusts going down, down, down. BlackRock, the green ones, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And it's because at the end of the day, I mean, it's fees, right? I mean, this is a business. This is not a personal venture. It's a business, and businesses are there to make money. And so if they can make more money, they're going to put that money in BlackRock and they're going to take it out of the Bitcoin, grayscale Bitcoin trust, right? So the point here is that at some point, grayscale is going to run out of selling. And then at some point, we're going to tap into those retirement accounts. And then this thing is off to the races.
Well, as Mike Vandepop already said today, we've now officially started. We've seen the very first pension fund buy into the BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETFs. That's just the first domino.
Yes.
You know, now it's going to get crazy, right?
Yeah. And again, like you said, I mean, there's already, just in the US alone, is $40 trillion just sort of waiting. And you got this thing that returns 200% historically year over year. You know,
well, like, what is, like, let's say 2%, right? What is 2% of 40 trillion? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to ask. Let's see. Let me see here.
Actually, you know what? Where's my phone? I have a Google phone. It'll tell me.
Let's see if I can figure this out in Google.
1 second.
I don't know. It's a lot. That's a lot of zeros.
Let's see what Google says. Hey, Google, what's 2% of 40 trillion?
The answer is 800 billion.
800 billion.
800 billion.
That's a lot of money. That's just 2% of the pension fund. What if it's 5, you know?
Yeah, and right now, what are we at now? So right now, Bitcoin's market cap is, what, 1.2 trillion? So, I mean, you know, that's next to nothing also. Yeah, the entire crypto market space is 2.25 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
So just that little bit, I mean, would take you to 3 easy, right?
But that's just pension funds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And again, that's just the US.
And that's assuming that it's only 2%, right? Like,
right.
Hey, Google, what's 5% of 40 trillion?
The answer is 2 trillion.
2 trillion, right?
2 trillion at 5%.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it could probably get as big as 10. I mean, I wouldn't put that out of the ballpark. That would be 4 right there.
Yeah.
You know, and if it went above 10.
Yeah. That's just into Bitcoin. Like, for me, I was already estimating that this total market cap this time around, for example, was going to be, in my opinion, could get as high as around $15 trillion. 12 to $15 trillion is where I'm kind of ballparking it, right? Because I think before, like in the last bull run, a lot of people were anticipating about a $10 trillion market cap this time around, right?
Yeah.
That's a number that was generally going around. But a lot of stuff was not anticipated when that number was being evaluated. Like these ETFs, for example, were not even something we were considering 4 years ago.
Right.
So you add that on top, right, of the estimated value of the asset class, right? You could see, I think we will see closer to about a $15 trillion asset class. Do you have any idea what that's going to do to altcoins? Like,
yeah, Bitcoin raises all boats, you know.
That's the beauty of it. So you get some people that say, well, yeah, but that's, let's say it's 10% of pension funds, so it's 4 trillion goes into Bitcoin ETFs, right? Yeah, which raises, but that's only Bitcoin. Have you pay attention to the market? Bitcoin goes up. If $4 trillion pours into Bitcoin, do you really think that altcoins are just going to stay stoic? Right?
Right. Well, and you know, you're just talking about those pension funds. Like, think about companies also. Like, think about like MicroStrategy, right? Going to a Bitcoin standard. Do you really want to, like, I mean, like you were saying earlier, do you really want to be holding a cash reserve that's plummeting in buying power? Or do you want a Bitcoin reserve that's going up in buying power?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah. And the fact that, again, 21 million, and that's 21 million. People say, you know, they use that number, 21 million. But the thing is, that's 21 million total.
yeah.
That's not 21 million today. We won't be alive when all 21 million is out in circulation, right?
Right. And remember, 4 million is most likely lost forever. So you have a total supply of 17. And then you have your quote Satoshis. So however many zeros we can add to slice it. Theoretically, it can kind of keep on going on and on and on. You know, it's like it really is, in a lot of ways, is close to a perfect as a monetary system as you can get. Now, obviously, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than just about anything else out there. You know,
Yeah.
like show me money that's better than Bitcoin.
I got nothing.
Right?
Well, I was telling the channel there a couple weeks ago. I said, like, my plan. I laid out my entire plan for what I do, and I think I've told you this before, but like, people say, hey man, like, you know, I've been called like a JASMY maxi because I cover JASMY. Well, I cover JASMY because most of my channel subscribers want to know about JASMY, right? I could do an XRP video tomorrow and get 10% of the views that a JASMY video does, right? But that aside, you call it, like, some people will call me a JASMY maxi. It's like, you couldn't be further from the truth. I have an entire portfolio breakdown on my Patreon, and JASMY's in like my top 3, but it's not my top holding. And I hold, I think, like 14 projects over there, right? So what I do though is, at the peak of this bull run, when I'm completely out of the market to the degree that I want to be, like I'm going to keep like 50% of my JASMY, for example, right? But when I'm officially out of the market to the degree that I want to be, when we get to the end of 2026 and we're close to the bottom of the next bear market, Bitcoin's down 80 to 90%. 50% of my profits from this bull run immediately go right into Bitcoin, right near the bottom, right? So I'm definitely not a maxi of anything, right? I know which way the wind is blowing, and I do believe, especially with all of this ETF stuff going around now, that sooner rather than later, we're going to see a $1 million BTC. I think it's not a matter of if, but when. And I'm going to be ready for it right when it happens.
Yeah. You know, if you still have your Bitcoin at the point that you die and you like will it to your kids, our kids are going to be like filthy rich.
Yeah. Like, it's insane. Like, and that's why I see some people and they say, like, I get really discouraged when some people show me their portfolios and they only hold JASMY, for example, right? And I'm like, man, I love your conviction in the project. I love JASMY as a project, but you got to have some Bitcoin. You got to have some of these other projects. Like, you have to be diversified. Have you learned nothing from Terra Luna? Right. So, like, you gotta, and that's why I try to encourage people, like, look, when you make your profits in this bull run, obviously I can't tell you what to do with your money. We're not financial advisors here, but, you know, I would definitely say it would be a good idea in the bottom of the next bear market. Don't just blow your profits from this bull run. Roll some of that into Bitcoin. You will not be sorry that you did, right?
Yeah. Plan B has said publicly that historically, if you were to simply like DCA every single day versus selling the top and buying the bottom, you would accumulate more selling at or near the top and buying at or near the bottom, right? Mm-hmm. So as long as you kind of know the range, like, of months, then theoretically, yes, you could do that. Like in your case, you're saying, well, I do 50 and then I keep on going. I keep on, you know, doing your DCA or whatever you're doing. I mean, that could work too, you know?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, this is the strategy for you, right? And you're saying, I'm comfortable with this. Whatever happens, I'm good with it, right? And really, that's kind of all you need is like something like that. It's like, whatever happens, I'm good with it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If we see Bitcoin at 300, let's say Plan B is right, and we go to 300K in this bull run, well, that would bring us somewhere around 30K for the bottom of the next bull run, right? Or bear run, I mean, bear market, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to drop about 90%. It always does. I know some people say, well, it's not going to fall that far. Well, I mean, if it does, then that's when you should be ready to pounce around that area, 85, 90%, right? In my opinion. So like you said, like just kind of having a general idea, you know, in terms of a time frame and not trying to time the bottom exactly, right? Like if I plop 50% of my profits back into Bitcoin at 30K and it drops down to 25, but the end result is a $750,000 Bitcoin in the peak of the next bull run, I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah.
So you try to time things, you get absolutely pooched, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Crypto Homes in the house. What's up, buddy? What do we got? Jesse, if your prediction for Jasmy's 20 cents happens, sure, me and Rob won't sell nothing. Our target from 50 cents, right, Rob? My target eventually is higher than 50 cents for sure, man. But remember, Jesse's target of 20 cents is you asked him what his most, you know, worst case scenario would be, right? Keep that in mind.
Right.
Jordan, what are your thoughts on Jasmy's lockup? Will these lockups affect the price eventually?
Yeah, eventually. You know, there's 50 billion coins, 100 million coins a month lockup. So eventually, yeah, they should matter. But right off at the very beginning, now it's not going to matter at all.
Yeah, it's a long-term kind of goal here, and I know some people get impatient with it, and that's the argument. A lot of people were frustrated before the first lockup, and they were like, "Well, when are these tokens getting locked up?" They lied, and I was like, man, like, what's your hurry? 100 million tokens is not going to drive the price up at all, you know. And these people were arguing with me, like, "Yes, it is. Yes, yes." I'm like, "It's not. it's not supposed to, right?"
No,
But people.
You know, a more important number, you know, people get fixated on the lockup, right? I think a more important number is like the holder number. How many people are holding the coin? Like that's what's more important. Because honestly, I don't really care if it's locked up. I just want to know that more and more people are getting in, more and more people keep buying, and that number keeps rising, you know?
Mm-hmm. What saddens me is we don't see enough coverage of Jasmy either in terms of like articles and stuff like that. Like I go through a lot of crypto articles, and a lot of the time it's really hard. And I understand there's not a whole bunch of news from time to time when it comes to Jasmy, right? They can go radio silent for weeks on end, but there's still a lot. I mean, I find stuff to talk about with Jasmy every day, right? There is news, right? There is stuff. If I was writing articles and stuff like that, I would be looking into Jasmy's history. Like I'm doing a thread of videos right now, actually, because I went over to my ChatGPT there, my AI, and I asked it for a list of major tech companies that would have a connection, that does have connections to Ondo, right? And it gave me a whole list of companies that Ondo has ties to, right? So I started looking into each company. So I'm doing a series of videos about these companies. And the first one that I did is actually a company called, hang on, I think the video came out today, but the company is called, of course, my history is not there right now. Oh, there it is. Okay. The company's called Niantic. Niantic?
Okay.
Do you know that company?
I've heard the name.
Well, as it turns out, and I did research on it. Like I said, I did a whole video on it. As it turns out, they're a Web3 gaming company. What's it called? Not virtual reality, augmented reality company.
Okay.
They're the company behind Pokemon Go. And Ondo actually sits on their board. And I looked up, well, how many active users are on Pokemon Go? 81 million users, right? A lot of potential out there, man.
Yeah, Ondo's like a octopus. He's like he's got an arm in everything, you know.
Yeah, I thought that was absolutely fascinating. That not only does he have ties, he's actually sits on their board, right? He sits on a lot of boards, eh?
That's pretty neat. You'll have to let me know if you see any ties to IBM or KDDI.
Well, I'll give you a quick list here, a short list that it gave me. 15, obviously Sony, SoftBank, right?
Okay.
Niantic, Rakuten,
Rakuten. Yeah.
Line Corporation.
Yep.
Cyberdyne. So, they're going to create Terminators and destroy us all. That's fine.
Now that would be really funny.
Yeah. Well, coincidentally, I looked into them a little bit, and they actually are into robotics and artificial intelligence.
Have you ever been to a data center, like a real one?
No.
Okay, so real data centers exist, all over the country, right? And it's where all the big companies house their data. Okay, it's usually like a sealed facility. It's sliding doors, and racks, and stuff and whatnot. And I went in one of them one time, and I always kind of felt like it's like I know that Terminator hand is hiding in here somewhere. Like I know it's in here. It's got to be here somewhere. That hand, the Cyberdyne Terminator hand, just the beginning. Like it's got to be there.
No kidding, eh? He's also got ties with Uber, Mitsubishi, Fujitsu, NEC, Toshiba, obviously Panasonic, Nintendo. I didn't know he had ties to Nintendo, but apparently he does. Sharp and Toyota. I mean, we know Toyota as well, right? But that's just a short list of 15 of major tech companies that Ondo has ties to, right?
Wow.
So I'm doing a bit of a deep dive into each company individually and doing a series of videos on it, and just to see potential, and again, it's not a coincidence. I mean, look, what companies does Ondo have ties to? Panasonic, right? Toyota already have partnerships. Sony, like, so we're just crossing them off the list here.
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive list.
But I mean, all of these companies have the potential use case for the PDL, especially something like Uber, right?
Mm-hmm.
So very, very interesting to see kind of what happens. But that Pokemon Go thing really piqued my interest, as I didn't know that. I'm going to have to start looking a lot into the history of most of the team to kind of look at some of these deeper rooted ties and how they expand out. Like, that's even bigger than I thought it was in terms of connections, right?
Yeah, there's always been a lot going on underneath the surface. I mean, we really don't know anything. It's like the iceberg, You see like 1/8 of it, and the rest of it's underwater.
100%, man. Junior, what's the biggest threat to Jasmy Coin as far as competition? I mean, that's tough because, I mean, no one really does. I mean, I know that HBAR is trying to do what Jasmy's doing, but outside of that, they're not even close to the level that Jasmy's at, though. So I wouldn't say that there really is anybody that's close to doing what Jasmy's doing. I don't know. Do you disagree, Jesse? I don't know.
I did a video on this exact topic a couple months back, maybe 7-8 months ago, something like that. And I kind of went through crypto projects as well as things outside of crypto. And there really isn't any direct competitor. There are things that are similar. There's similar aspects to it. Like there's other fan token projects. Those are already out there. There was one token that was close that I think it was like measurable data token, I think is what it was called, MDT. That was a similar concept, but just because it's a similar concept doesn't really mean that it's a competitor, because you got to remember of they've got multiple patents on this thing also. So that's kind of what really sets it apart. So, you know, sometimes this question can sort of devolve into like, well, why doesn't Google just make it? Or why doesn't Apple just make it? Right. And it's like, okay, fair question. But for those companies, that would take a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of effort. Usually the way those companies go is they'll just acquire it. Right. So, you know, I've said before, like, I wouldn't be shocked if at some point, you know, Sony acquired JASMY, right? Like out of nowhere. And we were like, what? You know, like something like that could totally happen. When I did the video on that measurable data token, there was another project that bought them, and they bought them like 2 days of me doing that video. And I remember somebody was like, how'd you know that was going to happen? I'm like, I had no idea. Like, I just did the video, you know? But they were a pretty close competitor, but again, not exactly the same. So it's kind of like it, you know, it may be in the fruit family, but an orange isn't an apple. Like they're different, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think they have any natural predators right now in the space. That being said, like, you know, in the future, other companies, maybe in the next cycle or the cycle after that, just like we see with layer ones, right? You do tend to see next generation companies come out and try to perfect, you know, technology and stuff like that. But as of right now, you know, they're kind of blazing a trail.
Yeah.
To rephrase my question, are these lockups similar to the burn or more similar to someone holding 100 million? They're not similar to a burn. Because a burn completely destroys them, right? A lockup takes them out of circulation, but technically they still exist, right?
Right. And the question becomes, who's locking them up? Is it Hara locking them up? Hara's just locking up 100 million coins? Or is it, you know, Panasonic is locking up 100 million coins? And at some point, could Panasonic say, you know what? We're going to move on from this partnership. We got other things we want to get into instead. And then the coins go back in circulation. I don't know. You know, no one really knows that. But for now, the way it works is they get locked up. And supposedly there should be another 100 million the following month and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Can you guys talk about that on that holder number? I understand 68K holders is not the actual number because that's actually the number of individual wallets. So what's the true number? I'm not sure what the true number is. I know, Jesse, you talked about this before, how exchanges like Binance, for example, counts as one wallet, but it's actually like thousands of holders, right?
Millions. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, that is individual wallets, but it's also centralized exchange wallets. And so basically, if you bought your coins on Binance or Coinbase or whatever, and you leave them on the exchange, then technically they're in the exchange wallet. That's not like a split out wallet. So even though the number in theory is 68,000, that's not accurate. It could be 3 times that for all we know. It could be 5 times that. You know, it just kind of depends. And the other thing here with JASMY is that they're listed on so many exchanges that number could be really inaccurate if it's people predominantly keeping their coins on the exchange, right?
Which I know a lot of people actually do that, right?
Yeah, for sure. You know,
I wouldn't.
There's no perfect silver bullet way to keep your coins. I mean, there just isn't, right? I mean, how many posts have you seen of people that they're like, I don't know what happened, but my ledger got pilfered, and you're like, really? Like your ledger? Like, oh man, like that stinks. Like, okay, and so it's like, well, do you leave them on there, or do you move them to MetaMask? And then they're like, oh, my MetaMask, somebody broke in, and now everything's gone, right? And you're like, great. So now there's MetaMask also somebody got into, okay. And it's like, well, do I leave them on there? But then you run the risk of what if that exchange goes down in flames And if so, then they take all your coins, and now you're just a creditor trying to get them back later.
Well, I think that I remember a story it might have been about a year ago. This woman was pissed off online at Ledger. She said that something like 50,000 XRP tokens were stolen from her ledger or something like that. And, Ledger had responded and they were looking into it. And I remember listening to it on the drive home from the office. And I was like, no way. Like, I have a Ledger. And I'm like, there's no way someone hacked your completely wired, like no internet connection, USB essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, there's more to this story.
There could
And
be.
as it turns out, sure enough, she bought it secondhand, and someone had already programmed it with the seed phrases and stuff, and they just downloaded it off of her ledger remotely. That's why you don't buy them secondhand, right? You don't buy them off Amazon and stuff like that. Buy them directly from the company, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of user error in crypto, for people losing their coins, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, you might as well call it slippage at this point, right?
Those slippery coins.
Yeah, it's so true. I don't know how much you know about Swift, but it's really a project I've become very bullish on, and I really feel like they're going to be the next generation of decentralized exchanges and swaps is going to be something like Swift, right?
Okay.
Because the fees are low. You can get almost something like 800 plus projects over there right now in different swaps and hundreds of networks, and you don't have to deal with the setting slippage and these ridiculous Ethereum fees and all that stuff, right? It's all controlled. The fees are somewhat controlled, no different than they would be on a centralized exchange, right?
Okay.
If you sell Ethereum on Binance, they have a preset fee kind of thing, as opposed to doing it on MetaMask, right? Where it's insane, right?
Right.
And it's more user friendly. It's essentially if you've ever used what's the feature on Binance and KuCoin again? What's it called? Where you can just swap from one coin to another.
Yeah, you're basically just
Convert.
trading. Yeah, convert.
Yeah, convert option. So it's basically just a DEX that or swap that is just like a convert, and you just convert from whatever to whatever, right? And you don't have to worry about because MetaMask and Uniswap and stuff like that is also not user friendly at all, and that's why so many people lose money, right? I remember when I first started and I was using MetaMask and stuff like that, and just I was part of this meme coin kind of day trading group, and they were just over on PooCoin and stuff like that, and they were, they would buy a meme coin that just launched, and then they would sell it in 20 minutes, and they'd turn $100 into $500 or something like that, right? And we would just do that all night long, right? We were in a Telegram voice chat, so we could all kind of keep in. Okay, so when should we sell? We're waiting for more suckers to get in, and then we're going to get out, right? But the gas fees that I was spending were insane. I was losing more money than I was making doing that.
Yeah, the house always wins.
So I think that Swift, like I said, I think it's going to be the next generation of swaps or decentralized exchanges that's going to be more user-friendly and a lot harder for people to lose their money or to pay these obscene fees on Ethereum. Trying to buy NFTs and stuff like that, it can be insane, right? And the fact, this really bothers me on decentralized exchanges. When you're trying to buy an NFT or something like that, and someone else buys it, the fact you still have to pay the gas fee is ridiculous.
So you're paying the gas fee even though you never got it?
Oh yeah, that's why I remember in the last bull run, the Shiba Inu NFT line came out. I don't know if you remember that or not, but they came out with their NFTs, right? And everyone wanted one, right? And I was one of them. I was sitting there and I was watching, and I was thinking I should bid on one, right? I should get one of these. And they try to buy one. You set your buy order and stuff, and your buy order would fail, right? Because someone else was willing to pay a higher fee or whatever the case might be to get it. So then you wouldn't get it, but people were still paying like $1,000 gas fee to try, even though your transaction failed, to try to buy it. And I was like, this isn't worth it. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not paying
crazy.
$1,000 to try to buy something.
That's insane.
Yeah. But people were paying it, right? Like,
You know, that kind of reminds me of the remember the NFT series, the rocks, the Ethereum rock. Did you see those? And I was looking at those like, what? Like, what? You know, like I thought the crypto punks were pretty cool. Like I thought those were cool. The apes, never got into the apes. The rocks, I mean, those were like the worst. Rocks?
yeah, it's insane what people will buy. Like,
Did you ever get a JASMY Clubhouse NFT?
No.
You should look into those. They so the JASMY Clubhouse NFT, they were released on Polygon, I think. Polygon. So you'd have to have Polygon to do it. So you'd need a little Polygon, your MetaMask wallet, and you can connect it on OpenSea and bid on them if you want.
What's it called? JASMY
Clubhouse. Yeah, so like if you notice, if you go and you look at them, the style, there's a lot of people that use them as their avatar for their profile. I used one for a while, you know, Dip Metaverse used one, Icy used one. Quite a few people still use them. But they've got them on there, and there's usually like 5 or 10 for sale, usually. And then they have a whole bunch in their, you know, their main wallet, but they were pretty cool there for a while. And you can get, there's a couple Hara ones that are in there that are kind of like the rarer ones, you know. I think the one I got was a robot. It was pretty cool.
I'm going to have to buy one now, right? I mean, it's just how it is, man. Right? Nice. Yeah, I'm going to look into that probably today. I'm going to see what they're going for and stuff. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've been on there for a little while. And Tycho, I don't know if you ever talked to Tycho, but he is he's the artist behind it, and he's the head of the JASMY Discord. And so he and I were talking at one point in time a while back about maybe doing like a V2 of those. And I don't know if he's still thinking of doing that or not, but man, I threw a lot of ideas at him, and he was like, yeah, that sounds great. You know, and we started designing them and stuff, and they were looking pretty cool. So I don't know if those are going to come out later at some point or not, but the V1 is still really cool. Those are all the originals.
I remember last bull run, 2021, my wife, I was telling her about NFTs because she doesn't really know too much about crypto, right?
Yeah.
She lets me handle all that stuff, and I just kind of fill her in on the cliff notes. But I told her about NFTs, and then so she just started. We got these two kittens around that time, and they're pure breed Scottish Straights, right?
Okay.
So she had a bunch of pictures of them, and I swear to God, I put them up on OpenSea, just a line of pictures of the cats just doing cat things, right? It's called Cats Are Jerks. People were buying them, dude. Like, what the hell, man? Like,
that's pretty funny.
They'll just buy anything, right? Like, I mean, they're adorable pictures, don't get me wrong. Who doesn't like cats, right? But
yeah,
at the same time, it's like, really, dude? It's just a picture of my cat, man.
Hey, you never know. That might be worth something someday.
Yeah. Well, I got the idea because there was this, I remember there was this story about this guy. He's in like India or something like that, right? He broke, had no money. So he decided to put out a line of pictures of just him, just doing things, right? So he's just a skinny brown guy wearing these tighty whities. He wasn't wearing nothing but tighty whities. And he'd just be, this is me leaning on a telephone pole, and he's just like that, right? And people were buying them. He became like a millionaire.
Oh, that's really funny.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy, but hey, whatever works, right?
Well, you know, NFTs are truly pretty neat, especially for like the artist, because you have this thing that you can make a commission on forever. because it's built into the smart contract, right? So as many times as that NFT gets sold, the artist could be getting 3%, 5% of that sale every
The
time.
royalty.
Yeah, a royalty basically going to the artist, which is pretty awesome because normally the artist wouldn't get something like that, you know?
Yeah. The problem is, I think that we've kind of moved. I mean, I think we'll get a little bit of craze from that still, but not as much as the last time. I think that NFTs have started to move in the intended direction at this point in time of having actual like utility and use case. Like I remember, I think it was the last bull run. Gala Snoop Dogg had a concert in Gala's metaverse, and he sold NFTs as tickets to be able to go. Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Right.
That's cool. I liked, did you ever hear of Link's DAO? That was a good one.
No.
So it was a golf course. I can't remember where it is, but it's an actual golf course that you have a membership through your NFT. And that's how you get into this thing. And it was the Link's DAO. Pretty cool.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. See, that's the kind of use case that, you know, that we're moving towards RWA, right? You know, it's coming. Dwayne, I know we aren't supposed to marry any coins, but Jesse, do you feel JASMY is an exception?
I don't know. You know, I don't know. It's very unique. Sometimes JASMY just surprises me, to be honest. There are times that I get frustrated with it, or, you know, we don't hear anything for a while, and I'm like, are they still alive over there? What's going on, you know? And then they'll put out something like, hey, partnership with Panasonic. And you're like, maybe this is bigger than I realized, right? You know, like that whole iceberg analogy, that maybe the 7/8 under the surface is actually there. You know, I mentioned earlier the Lil Bidman posts of Sony at the trade shows using the VAIO laptops. There's things that are going on that we don't really know about. And so I'm very hesitant to say marry your bags, right? Honestly, if you're going to marry anything, I'd say marry Bitcoin, truthfully. And really just because that's kind of literally like the gold standard, right? But in terms of altcoins, JASMY has a lot of potential as an altcoin. Now, where it maybe is a little bit weaker on the altcoin front that, you know, I brought up before is like, I prefer having like a blockchain catalyst type person in the project. And JASMY's never really had that. They're sort of opposite in the sense that they're like corporate guys who got into blockchain versus a group of friends who was poor and got into blockchain because they like blockchain. It's kind of like these guys got into it because they saw the potential, the idea, and now they're, you know, running with it, right? So it's different. You know, like when I think of like the artificial super intelligence or even like Ethereum, you know, there's multiple like blockchain expert people. And with JASMY, that's one of those things that I wish there was somebody like that. Okay. I don't think that's Hara. But all that being said, who's to say that they couldn't build it anyway? And it kind of seems like that's what they're doing, right? So, you know, they just kind of work at it. You know, they kind of keep on hammering away. And could there be potential in JASMY that's way beyond Bitcoin? Definitely. Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of posts of people talking about JASMY doing 100x or more this cycle. Who knows? Who knows? It's crypto. It could happen. So for now, kind of where it is, what their partnerships are, it's at the top of my altcoin list, put it that way.
Well, the stage, like you were just saying, for me, the stage is certainly set for JASMY to, you know, potentially 80 to 100x, right? All the ingredients are there. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen 100%, but, you know, the ingredients are on the table, right? And I mean, the market cap is reasonably low, right? The supply is already in circulation, and we don't have to worry about getting dumped on, right, anymore. You know, but the potential lockup, you know, in terms of, that's another thing that I kind of was listening to. Who was it? I think it was might have been Icy Amphibian or something. No, it was Dip. It was actually Dip, and I'm all blurry. It was actually Dip.
I was going to say, was that my eyes? Like, what happened to your? Oh, you're back now. You're in focus again.
you just got older.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was listening to Dip, and he was actually talking about how, you know, if we think about a couple things, and we're just connecting dots here, but if we think about the KPI goals of 2026, right? Well, to have 36 billion locked up and only 14 billion in circulation, well, you would have to see them increase the amount of tokens they're locking up on a monthly basis exponentially, right? And, you know, I was just listening to Dip talk about how he thinks that that is something that is inevitable, that they will, and they will have to reach that 2026 goal, right? I don't think, do I think they're going to get to $17 by 2026? No, I don't think so, right? I think maybe, who knows, maybe by 2029's bull run or something. But I mean, 2026, we're talking about the bottom of a bear market here. Not much liquidity in the market, right? I don't know. I think that they're kind of saying that based on the hope that most of the people that have their JASMY locked up on the PDL will just keep it locked up. But people are going to be people, and they're going to take their profits, right? So,
hey Rob, I feel like you're spreading a lot of FUD.
I'm secretly fudding JASMY. But yeah, that would mean that they would have to increase the amount of tokens that they lock up on a monthly basis from 100 million to exponentially more to reach 2026's at least the KPI goal of 14 billion in circulation, right? If that's one of the goals they want to tackle, you know, they would have to mathematically, right? They're not going to get there. I think I calculated it. I think at their current rate by 2029, 2030, they will have locked up about 13 to 14% based on their current lockup schedule. So, I mean, it doesn't add up, right? They would have to increase that.
Yeah, I've always kind of thought, like, I don't feel like JASMY has taken off in Japan, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like it's more popular globally than in Japan, and that's kind of a weird thing, right? Like, I feel like there's a huge opportunity to meet their numbers within their own country, right? If they can explode kind of out of that and really start making some progress. And, you know, I previously talked about replacing the Suica card with, you know, your phone and the JASMY PDL, and it makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that? You know, now can they tie that into the government? I don't know. I mean, I know they have ties to the government, but I also know the government was using, like, you know, floppy disks, you know, within like a year ago. So that might be a stretch asking the government to do that, but maybe not. I don't know. You know, a star tends to get a lot of the press and the hype and these kinds of things, but Soda doesn't have any of the relationships that Ando has. Ando has way more connections, you know. So could they hit those numbers if Japan woke up? Maybe. I don't know. You know, really they've been focusing the whole time on Asia. And I mean, you know, you're in Canada, I'm in the US. Obviously, we got multiple friends on the call from the UK and everywhere else. Really the Asian side of it, I don't think has really come alive yet. And that just, a lot of that could be due to just the overall regulatory environment with crypto in general. And as that becomes more favorable, maybe that changes, you know?
Well, I read a story about Ondo, and it kind of put things in perspective for me in terms of the values of the team, right? And why we don't hear something. We don't really hear anything until it's time to hear it, right? And that is that the story went that Ondo was supposed to meet with, I think, is it Steve Jobs who ran Apple?
Yes.
Yeah, he was supposed to meet with Steve Jobs, and they called him on the phone, and they wanted to have this meeting over the phone. And I remember the comments that Ondo had made, and he had said something to the effect of, they don't do business that way. They prefer to shake hands face to face and sit down with someone because they just believed in the courtesy of it, the respect of it, and the honor of it, right? So I think that when you see, or when you don't see, but when Ondo is out there and the JASMY team is out there, having these meetings and collaborating with these companies or potentially creating partnerships, it's not this, over the internet kind of thing, right? It is very, and it kind of gives me a little bit of a perspective on who he is as a man, right? And that's why when I hear people say, well, JASMY, it's a scam or it's a rug or something like this, I'm like, man, you really got to do some research into who you're talking about here, right? Like,
Yeah.
The man who ran Sony is suddenly rug pulling everybody. It bleeds into what you like to say all the time, is that people don't just suddenly stop being who they are.
True.
Right?
Very true. And, you brought up Steve Jobs. I mean, Steve Jobs was like the biggest fanboy of Sony when Ondo was there. So, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, it's too bad he's gone now, right?
Yeah.
Also, there's something else I wanted to talk to you about. How much do you know about this the C2E partnership they have in Korea now?
I don't know that.
Yeah, they just
Tell me about
announced it. Well, it's they talked about the potential of it back in like February, and then they had officially made the announcement about a week and a half ago that it was official MOU with this company C2E in Korea. Which,
I do know that. Yeah, with JASMY. Okay.
Yeah, and it's they're talking about the potential of 4 million users that they can onboard through that partnership. But then I think Jangshin had posted about it, and they alluded to that's just them getting their foot in the door into South Korea, and how they see. I think Hara posted about it too and said he sees a bright future for a lot of different collaborations and partnerships out in Korea at this point in time. So I'm hoping that does lead to bigger things in Korea as well, which Korea, by the way, also looking at passing a Bitcoin ETF, right?
Yeah, Korea is a pretty good crypto environment, so that would make sense, right? Asian country, crypto environment, absolutely.
Seems like a good breeding ground for a company like JASMY.
Yeah, and things like the laptop, that great place to sell it.
Yeah, a lot of people there. I was looking it up. Actually, in terms of investments, I think South Korea is like one of the world leaders, right? In terms of that, the amount of money that gets invested. So we'll have to see how that goes. But Sam, where do you see JASMY in 15 years? Oh, I hate questions like that, man. I don't have no idea, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, a lot of stuff can happen in 15 years, man.
Well, let's see here. 15 years. I think Sato is 60-ish, right? So he'd probably be like near 80. Ando-san would be like 95, 100. Hopefully he's still with us for 15 years,
Go to the office every week.
Yeah. Hara, I would guess that Hara would probably be gone by then. I think he would probably move on. But yeah, you never know. I mean, who knows where it could be, in terms of a long-term deal. If it can get some traction, like in the government, maybe it gets more stability that way, or maybe they get some more big partner companies. And we're at the very beginning of this. It's an idea, but it's a really good idea, and a lot of people see the value in the platinum data. So
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I mean, we're talking about a team of people who contributed to making Sony a household name, right? So is it possible for them to make JASMY a household name? Absolutely, right? I believe that there will be devices in people's homes at some point with JASMY or Jangshin's logo all over it. No different than when they partnered with Panasonic and you saw these ignorant people saying, well, who even uses Panasonic? Well, go look around your house and be surprised, at how many products in your house are Panasonic or owned by, or created by a company that's a subsidiary of Panasonic, right?
Yeah.
You'll probably see something similar potentially when it comes to JASMY. There's no reason, there's every reason in the world to believe that a company led by people who contributed to making Sony a household name can't do the same for JASMY, right? That's just how I look at it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, 10 years. Oh, man. Juicy dip today? Absolutely. Well, from the bottom, 28 cents is 100x, which is very possible. Oh, easily. If you were buying in at, like a fifth of a cent, a fourth of a cent, even a sixth, seventh of a cent, whatever it is, like 28 cents, you should be laughing, right? Unless you're holding like 400 JASMY tokens or something.
But then again, even the guy with 400 might be doing well.
Yeah. I'm not married to JASMY, but certainly married to Japan. I've been there twice, and their culture is leaps and bounds ahead of the world. Tokyo is also a fully functional IoT city to a degree. Perfect. Nice. Japan's third largest GDP. Tokyo is largest city by population and arguably the most advanced in the world. People don't have to be aware of JASMY. It's like Max always says, it's all about the standards. Yeah, I agree. Max knows his stuff. Absolutely, man. So yeah, but I don't know. I see a lot of potential with Korea again in the next couple of years, man. When you look at Expo 2025 coming up next year in Japan, when you look at them with this partnership out in Korea now, and them targeting it as a hub that they can really take advantage of, I think the next couple of years are going to be fantastic for JASMY as a company. What's your price prediction for Anchor? I have no idea. You'll have to ask me for other projects. If you want price targets and stuff, you want me to look at them, just ask me in tonight's live stream. I'll be live again later tonight, and we'll have a look at some of your projects. I haven't looked at Anchor in like a year and a half, so
I haven't looked at Anchor in like a year and a half. It's been a while.
I think like the last time I looked at them, they got hacked or something like that. And I was like, well, I was just getting interested. And I was like, oh, guess not.
Yeah. They, I can't remember. They were tied into Trust Wallet somehow. And you could stake through Anchor and get rewards at one point. I think with staking BNB, maybe something like that. Mm-hmm. I was doing something with them at one point in time.
No, then they got hacked. Another one that I was looking at the time but backed out of was Harmony One. That was another one.
I looked at that one too. Yeah,
they got
that one is kind of fallen flat, hasn't it? I don't really hear anything about it today. And I saw a post recently that was kind of bashing it a little bit, like what happened,
Well, I think it was almost a year and a half, 2 years ago, around that time. I think what happened was, if I recall, they got hacked as well. Yeah. And people lost money, and that kind of was, I don't think they fully ever recovered from that.
That's a tough thing to recover from, honestly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, people get burned and not reimbursed. Yeah, they're like, see you later. Right?
Yeah.
Fool me once. I was going to pull the George Bush there, fool. can't get fooled twice.
Great.
Yeah, but looking at the broader picture, though, man, I think that we're looking at a Trump win.
You think so?
I do. I think we're looking at a Trump win with Biden openly condemning crypto and Trump openly embracing it. It was a genius move by Trump.
He's grabbing for anything he can at this point. You know.
Yeah. It was a genius move. Let's just call it what it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, honestly, Biden's advisors should be telling him to say that, you know?
Well, that's just it. The problem is he's got Elizabeth Warren in his ear, but I mean, John Deaton's going to take her down, in my opinion, so she won't be a problem anymore either.
That'll be a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be fantastic to see. I hope he really, really does win. He's getting a lot of good backing. Like I think Mark Cuban came out and he's gonna max out his contribution to John Deaton, and like a lot of people, big name people. I think Musk came out like because they want to get rid of these people like Elizabeth Warren. We gotta get rid of them, right?
Hey, so what's your opinion on Cuban? He's an interesting character in this whole crypto thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I look at him the same way I look at someone like Michael Saylor, to be honest with you. They have their own agendas, right?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
They just say whatever they need to say to, kind of steer the ship where they want it to go. Outside of that, the only time I get on board with them is when they're backing somebody that's right for crypto, like John Deaton, for example.
Well, I kind of feel like Mark Cuban has historically been a little bit vague on crypto, almost purposefully. But then he'll kind of make a post here or there where you can tell he follows this a lot closer than he lets on, And I do wonder, like what his bags are and what he's holding here and there and whatnot, because he's hinted at different times that he's been in crypto a long time. And even just the other day, I don't know if you follow him on X, he posted something about how the US should be following Japan's lead, and he was talking all about Japan and crypto. I think he
condemned Gary Gensler in that post too, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of like, wow, look at this! Like Cuban's following all these moves in Japan, and it's kind of like, yeah, like that was the point I made, was like the playbook's out there. Different countries are starting to adopt things, and I mean, it's not like we need to like build this thing from scratch. It's like if they built a car in Japan, then we can look at the car and kind of figured out how to build it over here too.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't that hard,
Well, that's the biggest concern, right? Is that we're starting to see legal framework and legislation and regulations being put in place in all these other countries except the United States, and it's all because of Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler.
Yeah.
Right. Two people are causing this, and I've said, like I said before, every single day that we have countries like Japan and China. China's a big one. Like we're looking at China now, from my understanding, they're looking at trying to allow their mainland investors to get into these Hong Kong ETFs through their Stock Connect, right? And if that happens, right, as they're dipping their toe in the water, well, what's the next step, right? And that's what the United States has to be paying attention to, because do you really want China's economy to go that much further beyond yours? And I
think Cuban said something about how like this is like the first technology that the US is just sort of ignoring, even though it's like right there, and it's like usually the US is kind of like a breeding ground of this stuff. And arguably it still is, because there's a lot of people that buy crypto. There's a ton of mining in the US. So all that stuff really is there. The weird thing is what's awkwardly not there is like the political will, because the political system is just so beat up and like just flipped on its head that no one really knows what's going on. And I don't know if anybody truly has any faith in it,
Oh yeah, no, faith is gone. Faith is 100% gone. I've always been of the opinion that the reason that I think a lot of these the politicians that are against blockchain technology is because they know that they can't hide anything with blockchain technology. Can't hide money, can't hide votes. You put the voting system on the blockchain, you're screwed. You can't manipulate it. Can't be altered, can't be faked, can't be, it's 100%. It is what it is, right?
Imagine that if we lived in like a utopian world where there was like voting coin. And all you got to do is send it to the right wallet and that's your vote.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I watched a video about 2 days ago, and it was in a courtroom, and few people even heard. I think it was in like Oklahoma or something like that, right? And I don't know how many people saw it because it's just so swept under the rug. And basically, what they were doing was you had the government officials or representatives, whatever they were, the defendants or whatever in this case. And the judge asked him point blank, why there are like, what was it? It was like 480,000 votes more on election day than there was on the recount day, right? So, because the judge is trying to figure this out. And then the smart ass response from the lawyers representing the government was like, well, you only subpoenaed the votes from the recount, not from the election day, right? So there's 480,000 votes for Biden, right? That are on voting day, but they're not on the recount day in terms of the subpoena that brought forth all these numbers. So that would only mean, and according to the judge, that would mean that those 480 votes were counted twice. That's why they wouldn't be on the recount. They were counted twice on the day of the election, right? And it's just surprising to me that like nobody knows that these court cases are going on because they're just kind of swept under the rug and quiet in some, small courtroom somewhere. It's like, and then then they're just like, the lawyer's response was almost kind of like, well, we miscounted, I guess. What are you gonna do? It's like, that was kind of the attitude. It's like, okay, you understand that you have a man that's president who shouldn't be president right now, based on, and you're just going, well, it's already happened. So I mean, we might as well just move forward, right?
Well, I mean, let's be honest though. The vote total he supposedly won by was 7 million. I mean, that's not like a close call. That's a pretty wide margin. But in the US, the way we do voting is so dumb. I mean, it is so dumb. It is a paper form that you're bubbling in with a pen.
Yeah.
You put it in a manila folder, and then you give it to somebody, and then they put it in a machine that you're hoping scans it and reads it correctly, right? I mean, the whole idea is just like fraught with problems that it's, I don't know. I saw a clip of, it was like an election in like France or somewhere, and they all just get on their like smartphone and it's like, yes or no, this one or that one. Okay. This one, or that, like that's it. And they're done. Right. That's it. Like here in the US, you get like a voting precinct, and you have to like drive over there if you didn't vote ahead. But if you voted ahead, it could be lost in the mail. I mean, you're just assuming that they scan your vote properly and enter it properly. Like again, there's all these touch points, right? Like I'm a huge proponent of automation. Okay, the more you automate, the less human error we have, right? But if you look at something like the voting process, especially here in the US, there's so many manual touch points in it that, yeah, you could have problems all over the place, right?
Yeah.
In the voting process. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, you got one guy who looks like he has dentures that is completely tuned out half the time, right? You got the other guy who's in court for like his, 100th court case of the year, and he's asleep in the courtroom. I mean, you basically have two grandpas, right? And it's kind of like I kind of look at both of them sort of the same way, in the sense that, like, if they were driving there's a, like, Biden likes Corvettes, right? And at one point he went and visited, I think it was like the Corvette factory in Kentucky or wherever, right? And he's behind the wheel of this like $100,000 sports car. This guy that, you know, he can't even ride a bike without falling over. And it's like, would you get in the passenger seat in that car with him driving? Like, hell no, you know, like, he's going to hit the gas, take out a dog, you know, whoever's walking by, take them out, you know? And, you know, I mean, kind of likewise with Trump, I don't know if I'd get in the car with him either. You know, it's kind of like, it's like, can't we come up with anything better? I mean, anything, you know? And so far, no, we can't.
Well, it should be very, very simple, but it is very, very, like, here in Canada, it's the same thing, man. It's the voting process is ridiculous. And the way that they do this is, like, I don't know if it's the same in the States, but it's like, so Trudeau was, you know, before the last election, he was the majority, right?
He's like the king of Canada.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So in the last election, essentially what happened was his conservative opponent, Poilievre, right, ended up getting more votes than Trudeau did as a total, right?
Okay.
But because of the way the votes were allocated through the parties, while Trudeau won the minority vote and Pierre won the majority vote, so that just means that Trudeau is still the prime minister, but they have the majority in Ottawa, right?
Okay.
So they have a little bit less power in Ottawa, and I'm like, what? Like, no, what? Like, he got out of the two candidates, he got less votes. Why is he the prime minister still? They do this allocation thing where it's like, yeah, but, you know, the Liberals got this many chairs and the Conservatives got that much. No, who got more votes? Who did more Canadians vote for? That's the prime minister, right?
Well, thank your attorneys for that process, because that makes
like, what are we doing? He got less votes, but he's still the prime minister. Like, I'm like, what?
Yeah. So where I live here, so you know, we have a football team, right? And at one point in time, they were talking about developing. There's this huge parking lot around the stadium. Okay, so they had this project they referred to as Lot J. That they were going to turn it into this huge entertainment venue, and, you know, concert stage and bars, and, you know, the commercial buildings. All this stuff was going to go because the parking lot was so big. And it eventually went to a vote after months and months and months, right? And the vote was 12 for, 7 against. And it lost because the rules were that they needed 13 votes. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, 12 for, 7 against, and this lost. Like...
They fix things like that so that, you know, they can manipulate things. It's the same thing with creating they dilute the voting process as well, right?
Yeah.
Like here in Canada, for example, in the last election, there was this other party that came along. I can't remember what they're called. They're like For the People, People's Party or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And they were gaining all this momentum. But if you really look at things, they were there for the same reason that this other guy started competing with John Deaton to run against Elizabeth Warren, right? He's positioned there to water down the votes, right?
Yeah.
So anyone who's anti-Elizabeth Warren, well, now instead of being forced to vote for John Deaton, well, now they have this other guy. So then it dilutes the votes, right? It siphons off some of those votes. It's the same thing. That's what they do. They'll create, and the leading party will do that. And they'll actually promote this new party because they know they don't have a chance of winning, but they will siphon off votes from the competition that might beat them, right? So
right. A little
it's
strategy.
very clever. Yeah, very, very clever. Right.
That's
So
funny. Yeah, it's that's kind of like the line of you know, like I don't believe in coincidence, right?
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a coincidence.
no. The Harmony team didn't handle the hack at all. I was invested at it. Oh, that sucks, man. I still own Harmony from 2021. First bull run.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully you break even this time around. We can only hope Trump wins. Yeah. I don't fall under any of these categories, but you can't say, hey, I'm a one-issue voter, crypto, and be LGBT, pro-choice, Black, Hispanic, Muslim, rely on affordable housing, catch-22. I don't know. I disagree. I mean, it's not, people are not saying, when they say I'm a one-issue voter, what they're really saying is they're not saying they don't care about LGBTQ or whatever, or blacks or Hispanics or Muslims or housing or all that stuff. They're not saying they don't care about that stuff. They're saying their top priority is crypto. And, you know, when you word it like that, it's like, well, why would crypto be a top priority over all these other things? Well, listen, every single person is responsible for themselves and their families at the end of the day financially, right? And you can call me an evil person, but at the end of the day, I'm for all of these other issues: women's rights, you know, Black people's rights, Hispanics. I'm for everybody, LGBT, whatever, right? I'm for everybody. But at the end of the day, my top priority is making sure that me and my my family are financially free, and that's number one on my list. Everything else is secondary, right? I can't put my desire to fight for, you know, LGBTQ to use, you know, women's bathrooms over making sure that my family, my children are financially free moving forward in their lives, right? It doesn't make sense, right? When you're looking at everything on a grand scale as a human race, yes, those are important issues, but every individual person has to take care of themselves first.
Yeah, I often feel about some of the hot button issues that I don't really have a dog in the fight, you know, in a lot of them. And so a lot of the hot button issues don't really resonate with me like at all, you know? So yeah, I mean, there's certain other things that kind of do, but yeah, I don't know. It's tricky. You know, I would love to see more crypto kind of engagement. And, you know, I mean, we've seen little bits of it here in the US, sprinkles of it here and there, but it's still not like a main topic. Like, I feel like a lot of the politicians still don't truly understand the power of it and what it could mean, you know, and especially, you know, I mean, you brought up, you know, early on about just the younger generation, right? I mean, they're all cued in on it, you know, but it seems like a missed opportunity for a lot of politicians, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of them will still get on board, though. It's not too late for them, right?
Yeah.
So, like, they're not stupid. They see which way the wind is blowing. They see that crypto is very quickly becoming a hot button issue in this election, and it's going to steer a lot of voters in. You know, how is it worded? I can't remember how it was worded. Something to the effect of politicians are keen on identifying where clusters of votes are, and they will move in that direction if those votes are up for grabs, essentially, right?
Yeah.
It's like fish moving up a stream. So absolutely, man. Absolutely. And yeah, but I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm sure you probably got to get to getting soon, eh?
Yeah, I
know
do.
you usually.
Yeah, it's past 6 here. I got to start getting ready for dinner. But yeah, good catching up today. Hopefully we'll have some good news coming, you know, in the next week or so on this whole thing, and things will start taking off here before we know it.
I was going to say, keep an eye out, because if we do get any kind of announcements out of JASMY or Junction coming up in the next little while, I'll fire you off a message there. Maybe we can get together and cover it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've been kind of quiet on the channel mainly just because there hasn't been a whole lot going on. So I'm just kind of watching like everybody else, you know, waiting to see kind of when this thing starts moving in the other direction. But you know, I think the biggest thing right now is that ETF tracker I told you about earlier. You know, you look at that Grayscale Trust. Once that thing runs out, that's a big drain on the market that will no longer be there. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's dissipating. It's dissipating.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how much, you know, to close things out. I'm really curious to see, you know, what's going to happen on May 23rd with these ETF. You know, according to ARK Invest, they've removed the staking features from their applications. Why would they just randomly do that unless they were in talks with the SEC to do it, right?
Who knows?
We'll see what happens. But, you know, JASMY being an ERC20 token, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, pretty much. Well,
all right, buddy, man. Thanks for coming on, Jess. I appreciate you as always, brother.
Yeah, no problem, man. I was gonna say, whenever we reconvene, you know, I'm sure we'll have a lot to cover. So, you know, thanks for everybody for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. I'll shoot you a message in a bit.
All right, man. Later.
Later. All right, guys, that wraps it up for me. I'll be back in a couple of hours to take care of another. We'll get back on here, do another live stream. So I'll see you guys shortly. Thanks for coming out, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your questions. And we'll talk soon.